Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
Put the children to bed. It's time for Dan and Aldo to bare their souls.
I love the Chicago Bears more than I do masturbating, and that is a lot.
Then, with 3 seconds left, Bob Avellini throws a 30-something-yard touchdown pass to Greg Latta, and the Bears win, and I literally shit my pants. I swear to God, I literally did.
Eric Kramer, for me, I love the guy. He's a tragic figure. I mean, he embodies all that is.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well. Not for a guy of his caliber.
You know, they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
So, Dan, tape is the ultimate tool for scouts and for coaches to evaluate players, to detect plays and so forth. And they spend hours looking at tape, right? Why do they so often get shit wrong?
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan and Aldo.
Oh, yeah. I'm against the dream. Santa Claus, how are you, my friend?
I'm okay. It would be better if the mic were on, Dan. Let's go. You know one thing I want to bitch about to start off the show immediately?
What's
so
that?
I didn't watch the Bears in real time Saturday because of my work schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched them much later in the day, around midnight Eastern, and I'd already somehow figured out by accident that they had won. So I knew they had won. I had no idea what else was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the first tweet that I see at some point was like Adam Hogue with the, the Bears win, Super Bowl, Super Bears. It just fucking pisses me off, man. Every time that there's something positive with the Bears, that everyone's got to be so fucking facetious. Mm-hmm. It's always one of the beat writers. And you know what? I was a big fan of their show when it first started, when they used to number all their episodes, like number 82, the Alan Page episode.
Yeah, right.
51, the Dick Butkus. But man, they just fucking hate their lives, dude. He tweeted something out Sunday about being at one of the baseball games. I guess it was the White Sox game.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And about like how unhappy he was to be at the game. Like, you've got all this fucking access, and they talk about how Johns takes a vacation to avoid doing some of the preseason coverage. Like, God, if Karen was a man, if Karen transitioned to a fucking man, he would be Adam. Adam Hogue or Adam Johns. They both fucking whine about their jobs constantly. And I know Hogue's got a child that's got, problems, and I don't want to he has a life outside of his work, and he may be a great dad and all that. I'm not saying any of that. But in terms of his professional life, why are they always complaining about the job that they have when everybody else would kill for it?
You're absolutely right. It's the dream job for just about any sports fan. They've got incredible access. They get to watch sports for a living, get paid well, and they moan and groan about it. I wish they would, sit back and count their blessings. And but I'm totally with you. And it's weird. I was a big fan of that podcast too. And then at a certain point, they started to loosen up a little bit and talk a little bit more like their regular selves. And that's when I became less and less interested in the show. I don't know why, it's not like they're boring guys, but Adam Johns has always kind of he made the impression on me like he's this kind of North Shore uppity guy. And I grew up in Chicago's inner city, and we never really much liked these hoity-toity guys. And Hogue, I always thought was a super cool guy, but maybe Olin Kreutz was right.
I won't go there, but yeah. It really made me mad. Just to tweet out that he was at the game and how fucking unbearable it was for him to be at the game. Like, dude, don't go to the game then.
Yeah, exactly. Get another job. You want to fucking, sell insurance?
I've got to work 16 hours. Like, I got to work midnight to 4 p.m. at 911 as soon as the 4 hours at radio ends. So how about that? Come work 20 hours with me.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, not that I'm some hero or something, but goddamn, at least I enjoy and these guys are supposed to be Bears fans before this, if you hear them speak.
Right.
I mean, I get it if like they weren't from the Chicago area and they just sort of moved there and maybe they grew up 49er fans or something, and they'd be like, yeah, I got to cover the Bears. But they're supposedly Bear fans.
Yeah. Back when the Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup in 2010, Patrick Kane scored the game-winning goal, or it wasn't the Stanley Cup Finals, but it was a huge game to advance them. Patrick Kane did something special, had a special game. And Adam Johns brought up, like minutes afterwards, this is huge that this guy who was had so many problems in his past, being with hookers and in a limousine and so forth. So I tweeted back.
Are you talking about me or Patrick Kane? I'm sorry, go ahead.
And so I tweeted back saying, this is kind of bad timing, that this guy's greatest moment in his career, maybe his life, and you're bringing that up. And so we went back and forth a little bit. And then Adam Hogue jumps in and says, I agree with Adam Johns. And it's funny that you would be telling us what to tweet when we've both covered the Blackhawks before for years. And I was so fucking offended by that. So I can't comment on what you are tweeting because you guys covered the Blackhawks and I haven't. So I tweeted back and said, you know what? I got 35 fucking years of a broadcast experience, including 2 Emmys. So I think my opinion might have some validation. And if I didn't have that background, it still wouldn't fucking matter. I got so fucking pissed off at those guys. But
yeah, that is a very, very condescending response.
Yeah, isn't it? So in any case,
that was Hogue, or that was Johns, and who was the other one?
Hogue. Then
Hogue was doing the Blackhawks then too.
That's what he said, according to this tweet. So, no matter, Hogue doesn't have any joy, and it shows. Hopefully everything.
I know he has a special needs child, though. That's got to take a lot of work and a lot of patience. And he has. I hope everything's well at the house. But I mean, like I said, professionally, man, he's.
Yeah, I totally agree. But
they've rubbed my nuts raw,
I want to get your impressions on the game. So you watched it on replay or on recording after you were done working.
Yeah, well, I was still at work, but things died down and I didn't know what happened yet. So even though it wasn't live, it was kind of like being live. So because I knew nothing about the game whatsoever, other than the Bears had won. I didn't know the score either. So the initial thing that kind of got me out of my fucking chair with excitement was that catch by Sharp.
Yeah.
That one-hander. I don't know if he's left-handed, but he caught it left-handed on the sidelines. Again, if he's right-handed and caught that one-handed with his left hand, that makes it even more amazing, unless he's ambidextrous. But like, to me, my left hand, I mean, the only thing I'm good at my left hand is like rubbing a lady's clit. I'm really good like that left hand. My hand can do it both ways. But other than that, my left hand like does nothing. It's just my left hand's got special needs, I guess. But so for him to catch the ball one-handed, left-handed the way he did, that was amazing. Like I don't want to say like one catch get a guy on the team, but goddamn, maybe.
Yeah,
like that was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. And Luke Getsy said earlier this week that he had to have a talk with Tajay because he made a couple of mistakes in practice and reminded, hey, this is your chance, man. This is an opportunity for you to show us what you got. Get your head in the game. And so he was so happy that Tajay has had good practices after that. and then it showed on the football field this week. And it's a bummer. I said this on our debate show yesterday. If anyone missed the debate show with Mr. Shorty and Swift from the Swift Sports Network, you really should check it out. Those guys were fantastic. But I mentioned it yesterday. It's a shame that we're dealing with players that you got to remind them this is a fucking fantastic opportunity. Go out there and do it. So hopefully he's got his head screwed on right, and he'll continue to play well because he's desperately needed on this team, that big target.
How old is he? You know?
I want to say he's 26.
So he's young. He's young.
Yeah. What's his name? Gabriel's a big fan of his. He's been talking him up. Tajay A.E. Sharp, age 27.
Still, I mean, he's young then. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that I came away with, and again, I knew who he was. I don't have everyone's name memorized yet because it's one preseason game. Once I see a regular season game, it kind of sticks with me. Mm-hmm. But the back who's wearing Salam's number 31.
Yeah, trust me.
Was he a 6th-round pick? I think. He came in after he was the second back end. He was super impressive. He was our draft pick. I thought he looked tremendous. I think he was returning kicks earlier in the game.
Yeah,
but he got some time in the backfield, and he just looked great, man. So you figure if Montgomery's number 1 and he's the 3rd, I mean that the quote unquote running back room looks good, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. I mean that running back room is loaded with talent, and I'm hoping to just get the offensive line squared away so that these guys can get holes to run through. You know, that's the biggest issue. All of this turmoil with the offensive line, and now Tevin Jenkins is moving inside. What was your impression of that whole thing with Tevin?
You know, the right guard that we brought in was so bad, and there was only one preseason game. At least when I saw him playing, and I think it was Borum too. Again, I wasn't taking notes. I was trying to watch this as a fan, not as I'm coming to break the film down or some shit. You know, I'm just trying to enjoy it.
Sure.
And the right side of the line looked really fucking awful. It looked like last season. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Borum and what's his name, Schofield, that they signed.
Yes.
And I was really unhappy with the right side of the line every time. But it was early in the game. Maybe it got worked out. But early on, I was like, you know, this needs something. I don't know what it needs, but it needs something now. Yeah. And if you're telling me Jenkins may play right guard, okay. I mean, I'm glad they're trying something because whatever they practiced up to last week, and they got to play again Thursday, it didn't work.
Right.
It didn't work, and I don't think KC was coming at us like full speed like it was the Super Bowl, obviously, and they were just getting overwhelmed, man. It was very shocking to me.
I'll tell you about Tevin Jenkins playing that right guard position. He could remind us of Kyle Long at that position. You know, big and a mean streak and athletic. Not quite as athletic.
Someone says I sound like Alf. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
See that, Joe DeVille? I don't hear that, I should say. It's funny though.
Alf was from Melmac, is that right?
Melmac?
Wasn't that the planet he was from?
Oh, that's right. I never really watched the show. I saw highlights, and he was a big sensation in the 80s, but I never sat down and watched fucking
Alf loved to eat cats, but was that a euphemism for adults? If so, maybe I am more like Alf because I enjoy eating the ladies.
That's right. Dan has a particular appetite that
remember that episode of The Sopranos where in the first season it becomes so big of a deal because Tony told everyone that Junior liked to eat pussy. Like Junior, everyone lost respect for him and they were making fun of him. And it led to the climax of the end of season 1, all of it about eating pussy. It's just like, I was just like, damn, if everyone had said, well, Dan likes to eat pussy, I'd been like, yeah. And obviously Junior liked to do it, but it turned into like the precipice for the season. All the tension was over eating pussy in season 1.
Yeah, that when I was a kid, that was a big subject too. I'll never eat pussy. I just won't eat it after I've got my dick in there. And there's no way I'm going to eat pussy after my dick's been. It's like, come on, people, grow up.
Yeah, I mean, do you like women? I like women.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you want to like just enjoy the woman's body? I don't know. Okay, whatever.
But let me ask you this: have you been indulging on anything lately?
No, I've been too busy this weekend for sure. Like I've already worked. I worked 16 hours or 24 hours over the weekend at 911. Sorry. And it's only, was it Tuesday? It's Tuesday. Yeah. I don't even know what day it is. All in all, I've got 92 hours this week.
Yeah, this is the only show in the bar room where we're supposed to talk about football in 15 minutes and we're talking about eating pussy.
Somebody says pussy is delicious, at least the ones you're supposed to eat.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I've got a meme that I send sarcastically to people. And again, I don't want to sound indifferent or I don't have empathy, or again, if I am behind the Black Lives Matter movement, is what I'm trying to say, but it's got the same iconic lettering, but it says clean pussy matters.
When you come to Chicago, don't wear that around my house again.
I will not. But so we're talking Tevin Jenkins moving to guard.
Yes. So I was comparing him.
Now, is that a fact?
Well, he practiced there yesterday and today, and it looks like he'll get snaps there on Thursday. So given the way Schofield looked in his first game, and of course it's just the first game, he's a veteran, he probably will get better as time goes on. But I think that a lot of people have been saying, I know that Danny Shimon here at the bar room has been saying he cannot play tackle, he's a guard. And so I think that now they're taking a serious look at him because of the need and because he's quite capable of playing that position. And I think that he could look like a Kyle Long, not as athletic. Kyle Long was a freak athlete. There's no doubt about it. But there is no doubt, Cody Whitehair was saying that today, that he is capable of blocking at the line of scrimmage and then getting to that second level in a hurry and laying down blocks against these smaller, quicker guys. So I think that's his position. I will be shocked if Tevin Jenkins is not the starting right guard based on performance, because I think he just might be, maybe he might even be, by the end of the season, the best offensive lineman the Bears have at that right guard position. I think if you put him at the tackle and stuff, that might be questionable. So all of a sudden, this Bears offensive line goes from being questionable and worrisome to being something special, because if you believe in Braxton Jones at the left tackle and you can scheme to hide some of his imperfections as a rookie, and then Cody Whitehair is more than serviceable, veteran left guard. He makes his mistakes every once in a while, but nonetheless. And then Lucas Patrick is now your center. We know that he knows this offense as well as Fields. Yes. And then you have Jenkins at right guard, and then you either have the veteran Riley Reef at right tackle, which is his best position, or you got the other young guy, Larry Borum, at right tackle, and we hope to see him at right tackle on Thursday. Man, if it's Reef on the bench as the swing tackle, you're talking about a whole new offensive line with the exception of Whitehair, and the majority of them being guys who could be your offensive linemen for the next 5 to 10 years. That is pussy delicious.
It looks like it's Braxton's job to lose on the left.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I would think that he would have to have an abysmal performance to lose it. So I'm thinking the veteran's going to play right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Borum has 2 great games here, because he struggled obviously on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He Borum you say Borum struggled on Saturday?
I don't know how well he played when he got moved to the left side later in the game, but on the right side early in the game, they were both just awful for my estimation. But again, I'm not trying to break down film and tell you that I'm some fucking expert.
Mm-hmm.
Just from a fan sitting in his chair watching it on TV, I'm like, my God, the right side is just getting eaten up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it was Schofield and Borum, to the best of my recollection. I thought both guys, at least in that first quarter, seemed to be struggling mightily.
We just had Eduardo, I think it was, said that Tevin admitted that his back has been acting up. I suspect it was a back problem, but I hadn't heard anything official of Tevin Jenkins admitting his back was acting up again. But I am worried about that. At college, it's rookie season, and if it's hurting again.
He's had a surgery already, and he's a young man.
Yeah. If that's the case, then, oh, my gosh, he may not have any trade value.
And Schofield may be your right guard.
Schofield, yeah. I don't, man. Oh, then all of a sudden it starts from looking rosy to fucking looking like a dead plant. So, That would be what is the Bears tackle draft picks and back injuries? What is it? What is it with? Yeah, come on in here, Tooch, and express yourself. Let me put up a different picture of my man Dan.
Or as Nomad would say, Ron Jeremy.
I forgot to put Tooch's head on this picture.
Oh,
I really not need to put Tooch's head. I just need to change his name. Tooch, you want to jump in?
There I am. There I am. Where's Dan, though?
Dan is going to come.
I usually like to give his picture a little smooch.
Dan is a topper. So what is it with the Bears tackle and draft picks and back injuries? Yeah, we got a long history. You and Dan can talk about that for hours.
Right. It's some, unfortunate curse or coincidence or whatever it is was Chris Williams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then didn't Gabe Karimi also have some kind of back injury as well?
Was it a back injury or I think it was a knee injury? Was it?
I thought it was a back injury, but and now Tevin Jenkins is just it's not ideal. I don't know what it is. Is it the Bears? I mean, the Bears, by all accounts, Greg Gabriel says how good the Bears medical staff is, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's always said that they just miss it, but Dan was saying, the Bears' right side of the line struggle, but man, a lot of offensive lines struggle with number 95 on the Chiefs. Man, that guy's a beast.
Yeah.
Talk about Chris Jones. Is it safe to say that if the Chiefs starters stayed in the whole game, the Bears probably wouldn't have won that game?
Mm-hmm.
It was once the Chiefs starters went out, I like the Bears' depth and stuff. A lot of players stuck out. I'm sure Dan made a list of which players he liked, but the offensive line, which I thought was kind of going to be a strength, now it's starting to show some injury. Doug Kramer went out for the year, who arguably didn't look very well. Didn't look very
What was
good.
his injury? I didn't see that.
They listed as a lower leg injury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cliff Victoria's got possible Liz Frank injury, which that's never good.
I saw they signed somebody today as well. Did you see that?
Yeah, they signed some guy from Tulane.
Defensive lineman, I think, right?
No, it's
he's an offensive lineman, right?
Offensive lineman. Okay,
he was
good.
He tried out with the Steelers and Bears during OTAs. Wasn't signed then, and I think that because of the Liz Frank injury to Kramer, the rookie Kramer, that's why they brought him back in.
Corey Dublin.
Corey Dublin is indeed his name.
Indeed. Like I said last week, Sam Mustipher is the luckiest motherfucker on the team.
My gosh.
He's gonna back his way into a roster spot because they got no fucking choice.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So. He's probably out for the season, and which is not the end of the world for Kramer, because he's the type of guy who was a kind of a roster bubble player, probably would have been put into the practice squad. So put him on IR and then stash him away and let him come back next season and fight for a job, because he's got some promise.
He was put on IR.
Yeah. So that's it for him. He'll probably be out all season.
Chris Jones made a lot of our linemen look pretty silly in that game. The dude's just a monster. Yeah.
The thing I hated, and I know we're playing the vanilla, you don't know what we're doing defense, because we don't want San Francisco to see us on tape, which is crazy because everyone knows what to expect with this style of defense at this point, because it's been around 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I know they're not really doing much, but still, to let Mahomes go straight to, and I know he's Patrick Mahomes. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
For fuck's sake. But I was disappointed. And I know the defense didn't have all the starters in, but still, it just looks so easy for KC to go straight down the field without much of a fight. And that was the only thing at the time. I was like, God damn, some things just never change.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there watching. It doesn't matter about the personnel, who it is. It's just like the defense they love to start the game and give up 7.
And then the Bears went 3 and out, right? When they got the ball. So yeah, when after those,
because Fields got hit on 3rd down. So
yeah. After those first 2 series, I was saying the same thing. Oh shit, is this going to be a replay of the same old Bears defense that immediately bends and breaks, and then an offense that doesn't do anything. But I saw enough Saturday to be encouraged. I'm not willing to start proclaiming playoffs, but
you can be sarcastic and say Super Bears, Super Bowl, like Adam Hogue. It's like you can't have anything positive without having to be an asshole,
But I do see a lot of good things, but everything rests on Justin Fields, right? Everything rests on him.
And he looked good.
And he did have his moments. There were a couple of moments where things weren't great, but that one moment that Olin Kreutz brought out in that tweet where he was in his backed up in his own side of the field, and he sees that the defense is playing one-on-one. He motions to the tight end to come in and pick up the blitzer, and you see, I forgot who the tight end was at the time. He moves 2 steps towards the line of scrimmage, and he does pick up the blitz. He points over at Tajay Sharp, and then snap, he hits Tajay on that beautiful pass on the sideline. Tajay makes a great catch.
On third down.
On third down. That, as Olin Kreutz properly said, that is progress. And so that's the type of progress we'll see in those first 5, 6, 7 plays. I think that's about all they're going to play, according to the Chicago Bears reporters. This is Courtney Cronin of ESPN talking on the Waddle and Sylvie show about playing time for these starters.
I tend to think they will probably use the third preseason game to get a better evaluation of what that first team unit looks like, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, because you really need a quarter of action in order to do that. And I can fully understand and empathize with why they wouldn't want to do that with such little time in between when they last played and then having to pack up, go across the country and play this Thursday night game.
Because, Courtney, I was going to say that you have an offensive line that's a work in progress, and you could give us more on the news on Tevin Jenkins working with the ones inside at right guard. But to me, that line is going to be so vital to protect Justin Fields. They need reps. They barely hit in practice. So they're to get some cohesion going into that first game against a really good San Francisco team. They're going to need some reps, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and you could even hear with Luke Getsy yesterday. He was talking about Justin needs to play. Like, it's all going to come together as long as he's out there playing and the repetition and doing it constantly. That stuff matters, and it matters for him. It matters for the offensive line. It matters for a lot of different positions. But I think with that O-line group, the fact that we saw Tevin Jenkins move inside to right guard, we saw Larry Borum get most of the reps at right tackle today, that probably points to Riley Reif not playing this week. I mean, yeah, I guess you can say, well, he's with a new team. He should, they got to gel and all that. Like, Reif's a 10-plus year veteran. Like, there's anybody that I think you would be okay with not having him play in preseason games. It's probably a guy like that who did have the ankle injury last year. He says he's fully healthy. Obviously, he's been practicing and playing, so he should be. But all that aside, I do think that this unit is going to need to play a lot, and I would fully anticipate Tevin Jenkins getting the bulk of those right guard reps, as we saw the last 2 days, because he needs it. Like, he has not played this position, and when Matt Eberflus talked about it today, he said just kind of like his philosophy on, hey, Tevin Jenkins hasn't played right guard much. What are you going to do to put him in the line for success? And when you don't put a ceiling on a guy and you just kind of let them go and grow with it and not have them on, some sort of pitch count, let him play as much as you need and he needs to play in order to know he's confident and competent at playing the position. The guy is potentially, competing because he was with the ones today in place of Michael Schofield. There is a legitimate competition brewing at right guard. So in order to solve that question that you have at the position, you got to see the guy play, and he just hasn't done it much, certainly has not done it at all in the NFL at that position. So would anticipate a lot of reps for someone like that on Thursday.
I bet if Riley's not playing in the preseason, he's basically already been given the starting job.
You think so? I don't think so. I think.
Well, if he was competing, don't you think he would, at least in the third game, he'd play virtually the whole game, right? I would say at least a half. This whole now 3 preseason games,
is a new paradigm of thinking. I like the idea of holding your starters to play at least a half on that third preseason game, because there's still 2 weeks before the start of the season. So you got a long layoff. I'd hate to have the starters play a lot in game 2 of the preseason and then basically sit an entire month until they get out there for contact. So
do you think maybe the lack of playing time that's allegedly going to happen Thursday is a result of the game being like 2 within 1 week?
That has a hell of a lot to do with it. In fact, Eberflus talked about that at practice. So he's working hard at protecting the bodies of these guys. And I know, like, for instance, Braxton Jones played, like you said, a commendable game on Saturday. And then the next practice, he's up against Quinn, and Quinn beats him badly on 2 consecutive snaps. Well, I told Greg Grable today, maybe that has to do with the fact that here he is in pads again, just 2 days after playing almost more than a half, I want to say, on Saturday. And Quinn didn't play at all, so he's super fresh.
Right.
Gabriel said, don't worry about it. He's learning from those snaps against Quinn.
And Quinn's a good player.
Fantastic.
There's no shame in getting beaten by Robert Quinn.
That's exactly what Greg said. And indeed. So the whole thing with, allocating playing time, we're going to see a lot of rookies and guys fighting for roster spots on Thursday against Seattle. And I'm fine with that. I just want to see all of those guys make it really, really tough for the Chicago Bears to make decisions come cut time. The other big storyline this Thursday night is Kyler Gordon. He's coming back, because he had to sit out a couple of weeks with an injury. He talked to the media, and he said on Saturday when he was on the sidelines, he was like itching to get in.
I would just say, like, I was just itching to go out and be out there. It just looked so fun, honestly. I'm like, I wish I was playing right now. Like, just waiting to go out there. So, it was just cool to, like, saw the players out there, the people that I know, people I used to watch when I was in college and middle school, and just be like, damn, I'm here. Like, it's, it's time. I'm ready to, to do this stuff. So, like, it's exciting. Yeah.
I'm super psyched for Kyler Gordon.
And he gets to play in Washington State. Isn't that where he played ball?
That's indeed. He's going to have a lot of family there. So that's another reason why he's super psyched to make his NFL debut in Seattle. Go ahead, Tooch.
That's Washington, University of Washington. It's in Seattle.
That's where he played, indeed. Yep. I'm feeling good. Another positive thing is these 2 first draft picks, Brisker and Gordon, could go down in Bears history as 2 of the, 2 guys that were selected.
Like Mike Brown and Urlacher together.
Yeah, Brown and Urlacher. And not maybe, Sayers and Butkus, but, in that conversation of draft picks picked right after one another that are great, great players. Hopefully, unlike, hopefully they get to go to a championship game, unlike Butkus and Sayers. But I'm excited.
Again, the Bears, you put the Butkus, Sayers, Cutler, players that, I'm not trying to put Jay in theirs, but the guys that had talent that they just didn't know what to do with. The Bears are the only team in the league that couldn't have taken Dick Butkus and Gale Sayers and not been in at least one Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
The best player on offense and the best player in defense, or at least early on before injuries in the league.
Yep.
On both sides of the ball.
It was an era of Bears football where Hallis, did that great thing of picking these 2 players and making, all sorts of furtive moves to secure those guys, because the AFL had their own draft and they were vying for those players, and Hallis did a great job, but Hallis did a terrible job of picking a coaching staff and could not get the best. And there were other player moves back in that era that did not support having those 2 great players. But I want to get to the Saint Omni thing, because Saint Omni is in the chat room and he has been soliciting for Kyler Gordon to call him and so forth. Tooch has done a tremendous investigative job of trying to find out who the fuck is Saint Omni. What did you find out?
I got the only picture, Aldo.
Oh, wow.
I found the picture online of Saint Omni.
Oh.
You can see why Roquan chose him.
Yeah, because he's a very fashionable guy. He's got that NFL medallion, and he's looking pretty sharp, this Saint Omni guy.
Does Dan know? Does Dan know what we're talking about?
Or is that the new agent who's not an agent who's representing him?
Allegedly, right?
Although,
and now we've got tampering, and I mean,
I always talk about Roquan doing Roquan things, right?
Yes.
Every week I get more material from Roquan doing Roquan things. You and I talked about this before the show about how I'm kind of like done with Roquan. I'm kind of like, let's just trade him. You know, he released a statement 3 hours before Family Fest, you know, that he demanded a trade. What he said, the organization doesn't value me here, refused to negotiate in good faith, and the focus of the Bears has been on trying to take advantage of me. So that probably made for a fun Family Fest, Aldo.
Yes. Saint Omni is not happy with the use of that picture. He says it's at least 2 years old. So,
and now you got two holdouts. I mean, he really is in the category now of an enigma, whether he wants to be or not.
Perfect word. Perfect word. You know, and you got to love the play of Roquan Smith, but you got to question, you know, his decision making at some very high levels. Tooch is of the opinion that it's time to move and just start working the phones, find out what you can get for him. I'm not quite there yet. I'm not ready to give up on him. Go ahead, Tooch.
Let me just pose one thing because I think we're very close to seeing Roquan Smith play the minimum 6 games this season, you know, and would your mind change a little bit if you know that's his intention to hold out for the first 11 weeks and just, you know, get credit for his season, you know, play 6 games, probably maybe.
If he held up for 11 games, I just wouldn't play him. I would John Gruden that motherfucker. Remember John Gruden?
You have the same situation next year then too, but
that's what I'm saying. Remember Gruden wouldn't play. Was it Keyshawn? That he just was like, fuck it. I'm not even going to play you. You're inactive. That's what I would, if he's going to hold out and try to come back in week 12 or whatever, I'd be, we've made it this far without you. I wouldn't even play him.
Yeah.
They haven't fined him yet though, to be fair. The Bears, like Cliff says, they haven't fined.
Well, publicly, they haven't said anything about a fine, you know, so maybe something is going on behind the scenes where they started to discipline him. He is off the PUP list, so he is eligible to be fined. But I say this, if he's going to play hardball like that, play the season, and then after that come up with some mysterious illness or injury, you know, I can't play, and the doctors check him out and they say he can play, then all of a sudden Poles has to be a dick, start fining him.
He looks like Derrick Rose if he can play and he says he's hurt.
Oh my gosh, don't remind me of those days. That was so frustrating.
But BJ Armstrong said he couldn't play, Aldo.
That's right. Good old BJ.
Did Roquan lose, like, when he released his statement, did he lose public sympathy at all, do you think, Aldo, Dan?
Yes, I think so. I mean, Ilwell was a part of, he's a member of the Three Kings podcast.
Right.
And he called out Roquan. And I fully expected him and everybody else to express pro Roquan sentiment, but it was totally different on that show when we debated it in the chat room comments and so forth. And Ilwell very eloquently talked about Roquan being a dick regarding this. And
how long have I been saying Roquan doing Roquan things?
Yeah, you've been saying it a while. Sure,
a couple months. You know,
I don't know. How do you feel about this, Dan? Do you feel like Poles should pick up the phone and start trying to unload him?
I would still like to see a deal done and then just put the shit in the rear view and then just never have to unearth it again. Because you think if they sign him to a new deal, he certainly wouldn't be around for a third one. So we wouldn't have a third holdout. They would let him go at that juncture. But, I mean, if you told me they were going to trade him, I could understand why. But I guess I just hope he's there for San Francisco. I know he's not going to play in Cleveland, or obviously not in Seattle. So maybe at Soldier Field versus San Francisco on September 11th. That's still my goal, and it sounds like Ryan Poles, at least last week, that was his goal too.
Although Did you get a call from Saint Omni? You had to disappear for a second.
Yeah. Saint Omni said we need to talk. But check this out, guys. Before we go on any further talking about Roquan, Andrew Brandt, you guys should know the name. He was I think the general manager of the Green Bay Packers. So take what he says here about Roquan, or I should say about the Bears, with knowing that he's probably not a fan of the Chicago Bears organization, but he pretty much defended Roquan on this and spoke about how Roquan was handling this. This is about almost 4 minutes long. He was on the radio today. I want to say it was, well, let's just take a look at the graphic. It'll tell us what station he was on.
I'm curious, when you look at this Roquan.
Clearly, WCR, Bernstein, and Home Show.
I'm curious, when you look at this Roquan Smith situation from afar, what do you see?
Well, I think generally what I see is something that I didn't deal with in my 10 years at the Packers, this new strategy, relatively new, the past couple of years, called hold-ins. And I'm looking at hold-ins as more advantageous for players than holdouts. Holdouts that I did deal with at the Packers were more out of sight, out of mind. If the player's not there, we don't think about him. And we move on, and if he shows, he shows, and of course they always did. Hold-ins, where you have a player that is not participating and waiting for a contract upgrade, creates pressure on a front office. And I think that strategy has worked, starting with Jalen Ramsey 3 years ago in Jacksonville, TJ Watt last year, and 3 receivers this year, Deontay Johnson, Deebo Samuel, and DK Metcalf. Now, I expected it to work for Smith. He's the best player there on defense, maybe the best player on the team. You figure they're going to adjust his contract in a way that's suitable for him, and it was going to happen. And then we realized the strategy is not working because the contract negotiation is not working. Because Smith, and we can talk about the lack of agent in a minute, has felt, I don't know what word is, a little bit
aggrieved? Insulted?
Aggrieved and bamboozled by the offer. Because when I dealt with agents, they would call me out and say, this is not the right offer because we need this, we need that. Players always want more cash early in the contract because that's the low-risk years. And, of course, it sounds like the Bears have backloaded this deal, and then it comes out that they've offered de-escalators, which is something you do for a player coming off an injury, a down-the-line player. You don't do that for a star. And it makes the Bears look bad, at least in my community of people that know this business. So we don't know, again, how this contract was really structured, what kind of advice Smith is getting, but the hold-in strategy did not work here, and it's obviously created some hard feelings.
You mentioned in your newsletter that you've seen the Bears negotiate with this hardline stance before. But the truth is, this is the first go-round for Ryan Poles. How does that raise the stakes of not just the eventual outcome, but how ruffled feathers get and what gets into the player and agent bloodstream about how this business is done?
Yeah, I mean, quickly, one of my mentors in the business was an agent that dealt a lot with the Bears, actually, named Eugene Parker. And he untimely passed away a few years ago. And I told his wife, I will help your sons as they enter the agent business because that's important to me to give back because Eugene was so good to me. And Brandon Parker represents Allen Robinson. So I was helping with that. And it just seemed to me the Bears were not willing to meet the market. The market was established at that time, $19, $20, $21 million a year, and they weren't willing to go there. So I've seen that. And as you said, now we have a new administration. So it just seems odd to me, guys, that if this is true, they would negotiate with these kind of issues. I don't know the inside linebacker market that well, but we can easily establish whatever that top market is, Smith should be there. And I'm sure that top market doesn't have de-escalators and doesn't have backloaded deals like what he's suggesting.
Well, if I could comment on that.
Please, jump in.
Adam Schefter had an article, and again, I'm not Adam's biggest fan, but you'd have to think he has a lot of stroke and credibility. Is that agreed?
Absolutely.
Adam Schefter, 4 days ago, I retweeted his tweet, or a correction, NBCSports.com did a story based upon his tweet. And the headline was, Schefter, Bears front office has played, quote, played nice with Roquan Smith. So he was saying that all this other shit was nonsense. So I don't know why that's kind of been ignored, and everyone's still talking about the de-escalator and all these things, and sort of assuming that Roquan's side of the story is true, which it may be. But if Schefter's saying that the Bears are actually trying to placate him and being nice, that deserves at least a second thought to say, well, maybe Roquan's the one who's creating a lot of this adversity and tension between both parties.
Man.
What do you think, Tooch?
Occam's razor, Aldo. The simplest solution is always the most likely. If I were to boil it down, I would say it's the position that Roquan plays. It's not, Andrew Brandt talked about wide receivers. Those are star players. I'm not saying Roquan Smith isn't a star, but like I've been saying before, like off-ball linebackers aren't that hard to find. Do we love Roquan Smith? Do fans love him? Yeah, sure. Is it annoying that all these things keep cropping up with this one player? Yeah. But and especially I forget who said the fact that he doesn't have an agent, kind of compounds this a little bit. Maybe the Bears are getting frustrated with, not having an agent who understands this kind of contract, and someone who can, hey, let's, keep the waters calm, right? But
yes, exactly.
To me, it's the position that Roquan plays. I mean, Fred Warner and Darius Leonard are the two top linebackers that position. They're both making around 19 and a half per year, which is probably about what Roquan wants. I think he wants to be paid more than both of those guys. I'm not sure that the Bears want to make him the highest paid linebacker because I don't know. I think Roquan should be more than happy with getting a deal equivalent with Fred Warner or Darius Leonard. I mean, that to me is the thing. At this point, it's becoming a nuisance. And like I said, if he's only going to play 6 games this season, Jordan and I are kind of on the same page. We probably could have drafted what's his name, Christian Harris, and gotten the same production, or near close to the same production. A guy.
This news story with the agent who's not an agent is just so embarrassing, though, for his side, that he's starting to really look egregiously foolish, and we know he's not dumb, but this is not good PR in any sense of the word. I mean, he's losing the battle right now of Roquan versus the Bears, and trying to get the new deal. It's just like he looks dumb with everything that's happening, and I know he's not dumb.
Right. He's definitely not dumb, and it to me, what this whole Saint Omni thing,
it's so Bears, isn't it so Bears?
I don't know if you can say so Bears. This is more so Roquan, it appears.
Or so Roquan, yeah, right, Danny. But the Saint, you can't write this stuff though. It's like some guy with an odd name, who isn't even an NFLPA associated,
not certified,
approved, not certified. He's not even certified to do anything. It's just like, and the saying, a fool that someone who has represents himself as a fool for a client. That's kind of the situation here.
Well, here's the deal. ESPN has reported that Saint Omni is not certified player agent, but he is a director of financial advisement at some company. So he has managed players' money, and he must be certified because from that standpoint, because money managers have to be certified by the NFLPA to work with players, but he's not a certified agent, right?
CFP, certified financial planner.
Charlie Cross, who was drafted, I think, by the Steelers, he used Saint Omni, whatever his name is, for advice on his contract. He didn't negotiate. Omni did not negotiate on behalf of Cross, but Cross went to him and said, I need your advice. take a look at this contract, and he got that advice. So perhaps that's where Roquan heard of this. The problem is this guy that he clearly took it upon his own to start making calls to 31 other teams about trade possibilities. He didn't get permission. First of all, he's not allowed to do that. Only certified agents are allowed to do that. That he even talked to the Bears that he was going to do that. That is the stuff that makes Roquan look really bad here, is that he went that route to somebody who clearly was bending the rules, breaking the rules, or didn't know the rules. It's a mess. It's a mess, and it needs to be cleared up, and hopefully both sides will bend just enough. And if Brandt is right about these escalators and the deal being backloaded and stuff, then that does look like he's trying to take advantage. Poles and Stein are trying to take advantage of a guy who is not represented well by an agent. And so
which is what Roquan said.
Yes, exactly.
They're trying to take advantage of me.
Right. The biggest thing is
but that's all business.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sorry. Like I said, if you represent yourself, you got a fool for a client.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, Dan, I want to ask Danny. Danny, if Roquan only plays 6 games this season, would your opinion of this situation change?
Potentially, like I told you earlier, if he tries to come back in mid to late November and is like, hey guys, I'm back, and I'm here because I want credit for this season, I'd be like, well, that's great. We've made it this far without you, and you're not playing.
Yeah.
I mean, he would just be inactive the rest of the way. Even if he was on the roster, as far as I'm concerned, he wouldn't be active on game day.
Well, Aldo, what's the WAR on Roquan? Wins above replacement.
Oh man,
how many wins is Roquan Smith worth to the team?
Well, I got to tell you, I don't think that in 2018, the Bears are in the playoffs if it wasn't for Roquan and Khalil Mack as part of an incredible defense, and Kyle Fuller and a couple of other names. So he was instrumental in his rookie year of helping the Bears get into the playoffs. And I think in the games that the Bears have won, and you can point to the defense being the overriding reason why the Bears won, Roquan had a big role in that, and so I really value Roquan Smith. To find a linebacker who can cover as much ground as he can guard just about anybody coming out of the backfield, just about any tight end in the league, and he can play a fairly stout against the run. He's not a big-bodied linebacker, and so he reminds me a lot of Brian Urlacher. And Brian Urlacher was blown away by big running backs. Remember Jerome Bettis? What he did to him?
Oh,
and that's
Tom Brady.
That's right.
That was hilarious. I still can't believe that.
Oh my gosh, me neither. It was maybe the most embarrassing moment as a Bears fan. I'm like, what did I just see?
This guy with like cement shoes, Jukes. Right. I saw. Dan was talking about Ebner. Man, Ebner put a cut on a defensive back of the Chiefs that was just like right out of his jock.
Yeah, before you go
before we get to Ebner, I just want to say that was almost as good, man.
It was gorgeous, without a doubt. I want to comment on what Jordan said here. He's not sure when it became the Bears' duty to pay a guy for what he will become versus what he's done. Jordan, but that's the way all NFL teams use this. There are quarterbacks who sign contracts, like Patrick Mahomes' contract is going to be he's not going to be the highest paid player very, very soon. As some of these other, Justin Fields might have a better contract than Patrick Mahomes. It's the way salaries evolve. I think we talked about this on a previous show.
Indeed.
Roquan may not be the best linebacker, but he's proven to be one of the best linebackers in the NFL. And now it's his turn to get paid like Ryan Poles said, a record-setting amount. The problem is how that money is going to be distributed and whether he's going to see any of that. But Roquan Smith will sign a contract either with the Bears or somebody else that will make him the highest-paid linebacker in the NFL. It's just the way that he is because he's good enough and because the salary cap goes up, and so the next salary cap generation of players moves up. even better players than they are. So
you made me think Stuart Smalley for a minute because you said he's good enough, he's smart enough. And God damn it, people like him. But to make a comparison though, because I think I saw Jordan say that it was only 2 games that he thought Roquan would help the team win potentially.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to necessarily agree or disagree with that, but I'm kind of more toward agreeing with him because just as a comparison, the last time that we had something like this happen that off the top of my head, other than Briggs, was with Wilbur. And the Bears are like, well, we can't pay Wilbur and Singletary, at the same time. And Mike's contract has a thing in it that says he has to be the highest paid. So if we pay Wilbur, then we have to pay Mike, and we can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And they let Wilbur go to Washington, and that single-handedly may have helped us not win another Super Bowl with that team.
Mm-hmm.
But so it was, to me, you don't want to repeat what you did with Wilbur. I know this is not exactly the same realm or era, but I don't think Roquan is of that ilk to where, Wilbur's our first round pick, but he's an impact player. He's immediately, as soon as we let him go, Washington made him the highest paid defensive player in the league, period. I don't think anyone's going to pay Roquan like that to make him the highest paid player in the league.
I think it could happen. I really do think it could happen. J-Rock says the market is what a team will pay or won't pay. And you're right, J-Rock. I think there's going to be a team in the NFL that will pay Roquan. There are, out of the 31 other teams in the NFL, they're going to look at Roquan as saying that is a piece that we could really use to make our defense a superstar level defense. And we've got the salary cap dollars to do it. All the finances work. And so he could end up being that. By the way, before we go on with any subject, Don Burr was just saying that Hard Knocks is going to start in 2 minutes. I want to say to Don Burr, you will be much more entertained and informed by watching this show than the bullshit propaganda Hard Knocks is putting out about the Detroit Lions. That head coach is a fucking joke. The whole Deuce Staley, Aaron Glenn segment in the first episode with those guys competing against one another as opposed to watching what's going on in the field and coaching their players was, to me, embarrassing. And the fact that the Lions PR department let HBO edit together a 5-minute sequence where it's just basically Deuce Staley and Aaron Glenn barking at each other was embarrassing for the Lions. I would fire, if I was Mrs. Firestone, I would fire them all, including all the people in the PR department. So
I want to praise Jared Goff, though. There was I actually retweeted this. I don't know who the kid was, but it was obviously at camp, and a little boy came up to him, and he put his helmet on the child and took a picture with him. And it's not a kid that he knew, as far as I know. Maybe it was a Make-A-Wish kid. Maybe it's just a regular kid. I don't know, but the fact he took the time to do that says a lot about Goff.
Well, I wouldn't be fooled by that because there are a lot of assholes. Just kidding. I was going to say there are a lot of assholes who have done nice things like that, and they turn around and they beat the shit out of their own kids or something like that. But I'm just joking.
Ironically, Cutler allegedly did a lot of shit like that but he never wanted any cameras around because he never wanted praise for it. Especially a lot of kids that suffer from diabetes and things too. He really tried to help make a difference for them, but never wanted that false praise for it. But I don't know if Goff was doing that. It seemed like someone else was recording it. It seemed genuine. It seemed like a genuine moment.
It did. I did see it, and it was definitely.
Can I come in on our quarterbacks just for a moment,
please?
Since I said Goff, but I know Tuce was wanting to talk running backs, but I thought this before Saturday. 2 things. Again, this is independent of Justin Fields. I have always hated Nathan Peterman. I think Nathan Peterman is right up there with Jonathan Quinn, Steve Stenstrom, and Mike Glennon as the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen play in my life. And I hope this bum never takes one snap as a Bear. And I hope he gets cut and not even put on the practice squad. I think Peterman is fucking horrible. With Simeon, and I'm not saying this because he played well Saturday, I thought Simeon did well when he was in Denver. I watched a lot of Denver because, again, my cousin's a Broncos fan, Sylvester's a Broncos fan. So I've seen a lot of Denver because of people I'm around. And I thought Simeon was all. I keep wanting to call him Frank Simeon because that was Vince Vaughn's name on True Detective. But Simeon, I think, is a good back. I think he could be our best backup since like Tom Zach.
Totally agree with you on both counts. Peterman, that guy, I don't know how he has survived. Of course, there just aren't enough quarterbacks. They talk about NFL expansion. That would be a joke. You don't have enough quarterbacks for the 32 NFL teams. You need a quality starter and you need an adequate backup, and there just aren't enough quarterbacks who have proven they can do that, and Nathan Peterman is exhibit A. He will never, ever, ever be a quality starter and an adequate backup. I don't think he's that. I
don't even want him as third string.
Mm-hmm.
I say that now, and he'll win us a big game in like November.
The game we're at, which will be fine.
Yeah, well, I'll gladly eat the proverbial crow if that is the case. But God, like I said, to me, I can't ever really just discern who's the worst. I want to save Steve Stenstrom, but then you're like, oh, what about Glennon? What about Jonathan Quinn? They're all probably like right there, but I'm going to say Stenstrom was the worst Bears quarterback I've ever seen get extended playing time.
Yeah, I hear you.
Todd Collins ranks up there for me.
But Todd Collins had good NFL moments at other places.
Right, but
so you could say he was a good player.
Bears, but
I bet in Washington he was a good player is what I'm saying. But I mean, what did Steve Stenstrom do? What did Jonathan Quinn do?
Chad Hutchinson, that guy was awesome.
Chad Hutchinson had a really good game with the Bears against Minnesota. We can't say that about Steve Stenstrom. Did he have a good game? I don't even think he had a win as a starter.
Jonathan Quinn was the worst I've ever seen.
No, he did against Baltimore in 98. In Baltimore. But that's because James Allen rushed for 200 yards.
Want to talk Treston Ebner because he was definitely a highlight.
Before we move on, I just wanted to ask you guys a question. Is it possible the Bears have one eye turned to the future with Roquan Smith in mind? Because there's a lot of contracts that'll be coming up with players they might deem more valuable than Roquan Smith. You've got David Montgomery contract on the horizon, and this will lead into
Darnell Mooney.
Ebner talk. Mooney. There's some guys who maybe they're looking at,
great back shoulder catch by Mooney on Saturday, by the way.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe the reason they backloaded the contract was because of the future contracts that may have to dish out for Darnell Mooney and.
Well, then wouldn't you then want to front load the contract so that way at the back end you've got money for those guys?
Yeah.
I think that I think we're all in agreement that Ryan Pace managed the cap about as poorly as any general manager in the National Football League. He came from the Saints organization. They were not known for operating their cap in a reasonable way. Their credit card bill is totally maxed, which is why Sean Payton said, I'm getting the fuck out of here. So one of the things that I am grateful for Ryan Poles is that it appears that he is taking a very tempered approach towards managing the cap and only investing in dollars that for him are going to be sure things. I lean on the end that Roquan's play to me seems like a sure thing. I think that if you're going to say that outside linebacker, weak side linebacker is a valuable part of this cover two defense, this Eberflus defense, you need a 3-tech, you need an outside linebacker who can rush the ball, who can move sideline to sideline, who can rush the quarterback, then you got your guy in Roquan, and you need a nickel back and you need a safety. So that's where your money has to go. And I think that some wise decision-making on how those dollars are allocated, hopefully that's what Poles is doing, and he's not making the mistakes that has put Poles in this terrible position, not making the mistakes that Pace has made.
Isn't there some talk that Gordon is going to play inside?
Yeah, at the slot position, yes, which is another reason to really look forward to Thursday's game to see if he's going to get any playing time at that slot position, because that would be fucking huge.
Hey, I got to interrupt. I'm sorry. J-Rock right now, Craig Krenzel was the worst. Craig Krenzel won us 3 straight games in 2004. I know that doesn't say, he put him in the Hall of Fame, but these other, we're forgetting Caleb Haney, by the way, on that worst Bears quarterback list. But Krenzel won us 3 straight games to beat Kurt Warner.
Mm-hmm.
Won us a game against the Giants, against the 49ers, and in Tennessee on the road. So, hell, I think Krenzel did okay. Well, he was the 3rd string quarterback and won 3 straight games. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. Frankly, the Krenzel, Collins, who else? Those quarterbacks from that era that we had like 9 quarterbacks in 2 years or something like that. I've pretty much erased their play from my memory banks. I don't want to think about it.
Jonathan Quinn didn't win us a game, as far as I recall.
Jonathan Quinn did not win us a game.
Caleb Haney did okay in the NFC Championship game, despite throwing that interception to that fat guy from Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm not fat, but goddamn, that guy was 450 and got a fucking pick 6. But he was terrible in 2011 against Steve Stenstrom, just awful in 98. Awful.
Mm-hmm.
Who else did I reflect on? Stenstrom and Quinn in 04.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one I brought up. Who was the other one? Just the all-time worst. Fuck, I don't know. I'm going to go with Steve Stenstrom, I think.
What about is it Cordell Stewart?
No, Cordell did some okay things for us in 03 and certainly won us some games.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Burris.
But he never really had he started like one game.
Rick Meyer was the biggest.
Rick Meyer's a huge disappointment, but at least he was rookie of the year in 93, so he at least had a moment. Steve Stenstrom didn't have a moment. And I almost want to throw Peter Tom Willis in there too, but at least he did great things in the Arena League.
Yeah, but that doesn't count.
Well, I know, but he had a moment somewhere. Like Steve Stenstrom's moment was like with his mom hugging him or something.
No, he played well at I think Stanford. He had some pedigree. I actually, when Stenstrom started playing quarterback, I had some hopes because he was from that West Coast offense that I love so much. Bill Walsh kind of pupil. And
you must have been disappointed.
Yes, I was.
I gotta say, when we started the show, Aldo and Dan and I had no intention of talking crappiest Bears quarterbacks of all time.
That's right.
I can't help it.
Comes back to that.
Oh, the other one was Mike Glennon. That's the other one.
Oh my God!
Mike Glennon forever will be in my memory of the snap coming back and hitting his knee, and then he's trying to find the ball and in Green Bay. Just his last moments as a Bears player or starter. Thank God.
I've always wanted to do a parody video on all the Bears quarterbacks from my lifetime, but it's too depressing. It wouldn't be a parody. It'd be a disaster movie.
Aldo and I would need therapy after that.
Oh, shit, brother.
I wish I would have asked Eric Kramer. Like I said it in a joking way because I didn't want to put him on the spot, but
right.
I wish I could have him because he was remembering players in the huddle and everything, like on situations from like who was in the huddle with him in 91 and stuff. I want him to tell me how right I am about Steve Stenstrom being a bum.
I'll call
the worst backup quarterback Eric ever had, Steve Stenstrom.
We got to have Eric back so we can just talk football.
Mike Hohensee, remember that? I think he was a replacement player, right, for Ditka.
Yeah. He actually agreed to come on the show, but I got a feeling that he listened to it and he wrote to me back and say, "Hey, by the way, I won't be available that day." And I learned that he was very Christian, so he must have heard us talking about
a lot of cursing. And
who else was a good replacement Bears quarterback? Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Not that he was any good. I just meant a good reference.
Yeah, indeed.
A good backup. We should give some love. I said. He could be Simeon could be the best since Tomczak, but a guy I'm completely skipping over who won 8 starts in the regular season of 1994 and won us a playoff game is Steve Walsh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Steve Walsh did some good things here.
Yeah, he definitely did. I mean, he was a key member of that 85 Bears team. He was on the Super Bowl shuffle.
No, that's Mike Tomczak. Or Tomczak and Fuller. I'm talking about Steve Walsh.
Steve Walsh was Wanstead's backup.
Yeah, he won a playoff game for us at Minnesota at the Metrodome, and won 8 games that year because Kramer was hurt.
Ditka wore the roller skates, Dan?
No, that's 87.
That was, 87, right?
He won a playoff game when Wani was our coach in 94.
Right.
And the next week we went to San Francisco, and I asked Eric, I was like, "Do you think maybe you could have made a difference had you started. And he was like, everyone wants to think that, but he said that was the best team he ever saw. If you recall, like Pro Bowlers and Hall of Famers everywhere.
Yeah, I do recall that. Absolutely. Cade McNown's name just came up.
Yeah, it was awful.
Cade had a couple of moments, though, a couple of good moments. And in fact, I will remind you, Cade's last pass in the NFL ever was a completion that set up the game. This is for Don Burr. In 2000, on Christmas Eve, the Lions were in the playoffs. All they had to do was beat the shitty-ass fucking Bears at the Silverdome. And the Bears suck, and, Shane Matthews is starting. But he gets hurt, and Cade comes in, and the Lions just know they're going to make it. And Cade completes a pass, sets up my man Paul Edinger from 54 yards out, Christmas Eve, right down the middle, and the Lions are out of the playoffs. Great moment.
Great moment.
Set up by Cade McNown's completed pass.
The corkscrew kicker.
Love Paul Edinger. Never missed a game-winning kick.
It's kind of. I always thought, like, when I watched Paul Edinger kick, I always thought to myself, it's an interesting, kicking style. What if this is like a kid who was like, in Pop Warner youth football, was just like, I'm gonna try something different. This might make sense. I'm gonna like corkscrew my way in there to get more power, and he just like stuck with it forever. It's like he just wanted to be different than. Everyone else, all the regular style kickers, and then he finally made it to the NFL.
It's unfortunate that his success with us was overshadowed by Robbie, and I can see why, because Robbie was here so long. But again, he was the predecessor, with the only in between there being that Doug Bryan, who was just terrible. But Edinger did some really good things with Chicago and Minnesota, for that matter.
Yeah, Aldo, to ask you guys a couple questions. Is it possible that the Bears front office is starting to view Roquan Smith as kind of a headache? Just like
I would think so.
They might not want to deal with. Maybe they really are seeking to trade up. There was a lot of talk in the chat room about there's been no reported trades, and so that's been the story, of the day. They haven't announced any like possible trade partners, or if anything is going, but still there's all this rumors like Dallas or Denver or Seattle. I saw all those names pop up. What if Roquan, doesn't come home from Seattle? He just, because Sean Desai is there or whatever, or Dallas needs some help in the linebacking core. Maybe it's a missing link for them or whatever. Teams that are a lot closer to the playoffs than the Bears.
I do have high expectations, like Greg Gabriel, that this is going to be settled. Nobody's going to be happy at the end, and maybe the way to solidify this deal is tell Roquan, all right, let's do a 2-year deal. That way we don't have to franchise tag you. That way, yeah, good call, Nomad. Let's talk about Treston Ebner. The guy looked fabulous on Saturday, didn't he?
Yeah.
This is him on his touchdown coming out of the backfield. He let off the game.
Rashawn Salam's number.
Yep.
Man, you have a Rashawn Salam jersey too, don't you?
I do not.
Finally, here we're getting the quick slant.
Yeah, how about that? Well, this is
the Bears haven't run a slant since Reagan was president.
Shit.
The problem is that he failed on a blitz pickup, and you can't have that. It's something that he's got to learn. That was his major blemish in that game, and hopefully he'll correct that. I got a feeling he's going to see a lot of playing time on Thursday night, and hopefully he'll pick up those blitzes, because that is a huge problem. He will not get playing time until he corrects that, despite the amazing speed, despite the cutback skills that he has.
Is he going to be the kick returner?
Well, that's up for debate. I mean, we still have Velus Jones competing. There's a number of other players. The Bears are stacked with candidates. Daz Newsome is a guy.
I know he scored, but I just don't have a lot of faith in Mr.
He had the drop punt in the beginning.
I mentioned that to Greg Gabriel today, and even the touchdown that he caught, he bobbled that for a step or two before finally securing it before going out of bounds. So it wasn't
as in that Webster guy. I just don't see a lot in.
You don't like Nasimba?
No. They're right up there with Nathan Peterman at their position.
I bet on Baylor a lot college football last year, man. So I knew Ebner from last season. I mean, that was one of the top running teams in the country, man. Last season, man. The quarterback ran, Ebner ran. I mean, when I heard the Bears picked him up, I was like, man, the fans are going to love this kid. You think Ebner's a hedge against any kind of Montgomery? I hate to go back to the holdout shit, but fucking Montgomery holds out. He wants to get paid. Well, we got Ebner. Fuck.
Well, and here's
no man's gonna come in here and kick my ass.
Here's the great thing about David Montgomery. He's on the last year of his contract, and he is at camp. He's playing. He's doing everything as a team leader should do. And so
is he playing Thursday?
He probably will only play 4, 5, 6 snaps. I think
he's at a position too with a huge amount of injury attrition. Running back. That's like the most common injury position, and he's still there at camp playing, practicing.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Yes. But yeah, I agree with Earl here that Herbert will probably see the majority of the snaps Thursday night, and I think he could probably use the work. Ebner and Herbert, you got to make a decision on, do you guys, if Ebner plays really well, picks up blitzes and so forth, could you guys see Ebner jumping Khalil Herbert on the depth chart?
Not this year, I don't think. I mean, like I said, the blitz pickup is a big part of it, but I think he's going to contribute, man. I think he makes here. I thought about this too. After I watched the game, I thought about this, Aldo and Dan. I thought about I hope the Bears don't fucking try to sneak this kid through waivers and get him on the practice squad, because somebody's going to fucking grab him. Whether it's as a kick returner or a third down back or something. That's my fear. That was the first thing that came into my mind, especially when you see a cut like that, man.
Right.
And then he ran a good route and caught the touchdown pass.
I think those cuts at the end of camp going into the season, I think you can get away with a lot of really good names, because every team is cutting good names, and every general manager falls in love with the players that they drafted or signed and so forth. So I think you could sneak Ebner through, but I don't think they should try to. I think this guy is a guy that can help you win football games now. And so they should carry 4 running backs, and Ebner, Herbert, Montgomery, and who would be the fourth? Maybe Darrington Evans. Yeah, he's a veteran. I don't know.
Does that include the fullback? I know they got a couple fullbacks.
Blasingame
and Tonga.
Speaking of fullbacks, I hated seeing Michael Burton get first downs against us.
That guy was the worst. He's the worst blocker. He's like flying around and running super fast and not blocking anybody.
He did okay with Detroit, but by the time he got here, he was awful, as Phil would let us know every weekend, rightfully so.
He was awful. Yeah. That would be another. I hope they don't try to sneak him through waivers and onto the practice squad, because I just have a bad feeling about that. But I mean, I wanted to. I'm going to be speaking to Jordan Silvera here, who's not a Ryan Poles fan, because has there ever been a Bears general manager with this many misfortunes at the start of their career? I'm going to talk about. Okay, he came in, he traded Khalil Mack. Which Dan probably, we're okay with that.
I was definitely okay with that.
Injury attrition. We end up with a player who's going to be a star, Jaquan Brisker. He showed out in the first game here. He let 4 free agents pretty much walk without any compensation. I'm talking about Allen Robinson, Akeem Hicks, James Daniels, and Bilal Nichols. He missed out. He botched the free agent signings of Bates. Was it Ryan Bates and Ogunjobi? And then instead of improving the offense, selecting here's Jordan. Selected a defensive-minded head coach with, when arguably we needed an offensive-minded coach for Justin Fields' success, which, as Aldo said, is probably the most important thing this season.
But he hired Getsy, so give him that.
I agree. He hired Getsy, which is that's a win-win, or evens out. And then he didn't draft any offensive linemen or a wide receiver early in the draft. You know, passed up on some players, but kept trading out of spots where we could have had some of these players.
Well, he drafted a wide receiver in the 3rd round.
He drafted Felix, but yeah, I mean, we passed on guys that like the Pickens looks like a pretty darn good player, and then the offensive lineman, not until 5th round with Braxton Jones, who today's news, Robert Quinn made him look foolish a bunch of times. Of course, Robert Quinn's going to do that to a lot of offensive linemen. But has there ever been a GM with this much controversy at the start of their? I can't think of one, Aldo.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, and I think just a lot of that is bad luck. Like Renewable says here, the fact that Ogunjobi failed the physical, you probably can't blame that on Ryan Poles.
Right.
The question has never been answered is that why did it take 4 or 5 days for the physical to happen after the announcement of the signing? Because during those 4 days, Poles himself admitted that there were players that were signed that the Bears probably would have reached for with those dollars had they known that Ogunjobi's injury was severe enough not to commit those types of dollars to. So that's debatable, whether that was a Bears fault. I tend to think it was more bad luck. The money situation with the Bills offensive lineman, I agree. Poles botched that. He should have known the market better. He should have realized that the Bills had a commitment to him. And sometimes you got to overpay just a little bit more in order to protect your quarterback. That's the reality of the situation. So, but hopefully that will be,
you got the Roquan controversy as well. The Roquan holdout is all, it's like as
you make a good point.
Jordan Silvera always says, this is. He's not a Ryan Poles fan because of this, the rocky start to his career. Go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say I'm not, as you know, not the biggest Brian Urlacher fan ever by any stretch, but you'd have to say that Phil Emery's start due to the Urlacher situation was extremely rocky, at least with Bears fans, because the majority of the Bears fans, I mean, let's just face it, loved Urlacher.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that, you let him go, and then he's on TV constantly ripping you and talking shit about you on Fox Sports 1.
Nomad gave me my walking papers. Huh?
Yes, Nomad has fired you.
He's waiting out back for me. Got my ass kicked.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dan. Phil Emery did have a rocky start, and
he paid Jay right off the top, which a lot of people didn't like.
Right, and his best draft pick, I wanted to say, arguably, was Alshon Jeffrey, who was an incredible talent, but not the kind of the head that you want on a team because he was selfish and
hurt all the time, allegedly.
A soft tissue muscle galore. That's the first time I ever heard the term soft tissue muscle injury, and it was Alshon Jeffrey because he had it almost every week. And so
we had Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey in those times, right? That
was good. At least Brandon, at least he has a medical condition, and you knew if Brandon was healthy, he was going to play.
Yeah, and Martellus.
The dude was a monster. Yeah, and Martellus. You talk about an enigma.
Right. 3 head cases there as your primary pass receiving weapons. We finally get guys that can catch the ball and be playmakers, but they're disruptive with their off the field or locker room behavior. And it's just a shame because there was talent on that team, but it was a poorly constructed team by Phil Emery. Wanted to win now because of the Jay Cutler situation. I go back to what I've said almost every show. McCaskey is the elephant in the room, guys.
I mean, maybe does he mean the McCaskies are kind of we don't want to give out $20 million a year, man. Come on, right? The reputation of being cheapskates. Is that what he's talking about, right? That's what I get.
I think so too. Yeah. I don't know. Back to that team with Emery, man, that was just so disappointing because I did think that there could possibly he was piecing together something special, but then there was no attention paid to the defense. We had historically bad defensive teams, back-to-back 50-plus points given up against the Patriots, a bye week and Green Bay. Oh my God, that was one of the worst moments.
42-0 in the first half.
Yeah. Well, back to these Bears.
That's the worst game I've ever watched by the Bears.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. We're getting
opening day. Don't sleep on opening day of 03, Cordell Stewart's debut in San Francisco against Jeff Garcia when the 49ers beat us 49-7. Yeah. It ended up being a touchdown late in the game to Des Clark. But beyond that, we basically lost 49-0 on opening day. That was one of the worst games I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's up there for me too. That was a game where I thought, man, Jeff Garcia is actually a good quarterback, or is it just us? Do we suck?
I thought Garcia, despite his size, was pretty good.
Yeah, no, he was all right.
Yeah. He was a good quarterback.
West Coast offense. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, so we've talked about the running backs. What did you guys think about Lake Zurich's own? Lake Zurich High School is about 5 miles from where I live. Jack Sanborn, a graduate of that high school, went to Wisconsin, and then was named player of the game with his first preseason game with the Bears. What did you guys think?
Of course, it was incredible, but as I was watching it, and I was like, man, this guy, early in the game, he made a great solo tackle on special teams. Then he had like a wow moment on special teams, and he had the pick, and he had the fumble recovery, and I was like, oh man, I don't want to. Remember the guy we used to have back in the Lovey days named Mike Hass? Every year they're supposed to have the greatest hands on the team, but never could make the team. And every year everyone wanted Mike Hass, and then there was Tanner Gentry, where everybody wanted Tanner Gentry. And he finally got on the team because of injuries and didn't do anything. I don't want to overlove him the way maybe I did and others did with Mike Cass and Tanner Gentry.
I totally agree with you, Dan. The fact of the matter is that all the scouting reports said he's not athletic enough to be a starting linebacker. He's not, doesn't have the length, and he does look kind of small for a linebacker, but his instincts and his knowledge of the game and his toughness are admirable. So, he played every special team snaps. I think his future is going to be as a special teamer, and then he'll go in there and play at the linebacker position when needed because of injury.
He's our Rudy.
He's our Rudy, right? You got to love guys with heart like that, no doubt.
They said a lot of this. I mean, how many linebackers have they said he's too small, or Zach Thomas, Mike Singlet, those guys were like 5'11", 220, 230 pounds. They're just all, as you study the game, the more film, you watch, the dude's athletic enough to make plays. I mean, he really stood out. I mean, let's see how he does against ones, though. I mean, he was playing against, guys who might not play in the league, but I think he definitely could make the team.
You brought up Mike Singletary. Let's go back to that era for a second, because I got a question for you guys. I've always contended that Liz Cheney, by the way, lost at the Wyoming GOP primary.
Wow.
Yeah. So
she's not even the fucking candidate in the fall?
No, she's not. Yeah.
She's a primary. Thank you, I guess, Trump supporters. But anyway, let's go ahead.
Mike Singletary would not be in the Hall of Fame if it wasn't because he played alongside a cast of Hall of Famers. Mike Singletary was a good linebacker, no doubt about it, but Hall of Famer, if he didn't have that front line in front of him, and if he didn't have Otis and Wilbur beside him, I don't think Mike Singletary would have been a Hall of Famer. He would have.
I'll answer this with Otis. And I know we both have read Otis Wilson's book. I don't know about Tooch, but I know you and I both read it. And Otis said it flat out in the book that he thought he and Wilbur did all the dirty work and Mike got all the credit for it. And he basically said he thought Mike was overrated. And I hate to say that because I love Singletary. And a lot of people have pretended that he wasn't that good because, or just started to be a narrative when his coaching career didn't go that well. And I think that's unfortunate because as a player, though, he had supreme heart. I know the eyes thing is so overrated, but I don't think Mike was overrated by any stretch. I think Urlacher was way overrated in comparison with Singletary. I think Singletary is way better than Urlacher, in my opinion. So I'm going to say Singletary is not overrated, but he couldn't single-handedly make that team dominant the way Wilbur and Otis could, it seemed, I think he was the third best out of those three is what I'm trying to say. But still a Hall of Famer. I think they all three should be in the Hall of Fame, including Wilbur and Otis.
What do you think, Tooch, about Singletary?
Oh man, it's hard. I'm kind of with Dan in there. I love Samurai. I mean, a lot of it was, a lot of it maybe have been like build up. Like just he built himself up. The defense built him up. He's in the Hall of Fame though, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah, but he's in the Hall of Fame. But does he really deserve it? Was Urlacher a first ballot Hall of Fame?
I don't think so, but Mike should have been, in my opinion.
Yeah, see, I disagree with that, but God bless them. They were in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I love those guys.
Oh, come on. When he hit Eric Dickerson to start that championship game, you didn't come in your fucking pants when he sent Eric Dickerson just had 260 some yards against the Cowboys a week before, 3rd and 1, and Singletary, boom, knocks him back 3 yards, set the whole tone for the championship game.
I came in my hand, actually, because I had my dick out. See, but that's the thing, is that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the play of everybody else around them. Now, when Samurai came out, I remember that draft. I'm reading my Pro Football Weekly draft guide. Joe Bushbaum, I almost remember the words word by word. Joe Bushbaum wrote about Mike Singletary, hard-nosed linebacker with limited athletic skills, well-known for breaking 12 helmets at Baylor University because of his hard-hitting style, will be a thumper, but elite capability, probably not. Those are pretty much what Joe Bushbaum read. And so when he fell to the Bears at the second round, I was like, okay, that's a value pick. This is going to be great. He played with a great football team, and that's why he is in the Hall of Fame, not because of his individual greatness, although in terms of one of the toughest, hardest hitting guys, I put him on that top 10 list of all-time guys.
Let me ask you a question then. You remember that bullshit countdown that the Bears did that put Khalil Mack as like the 60th greatest Bear ever after one season, when he shouldn't even be in the top 100 now for sure, but neither should Patrick Manley, that fucking long snapper guy. But anyway, if we were doing the top 100 and we had the official countdown, and you and I, all three of us could tell you where people, do you have Urlacher higher or Singletary higher in terms of the Bears top 100? I'm going with 50 higher than 54.
I'd have to give
It's
that
an interesting question.
Yeah, it really is. I'd have to give that some thought, but I would probably say yes, that you're right. I would probably put Singletary there. Wow. Urlacher, the one great thing about Urlacher is the fact that he was so fast and he can cover so much ground. That cover two, Lovie Smith defense worked primarily, I think, because of Urlacher, that he could drop back and play like a middle safety position on a lot of play. And there's not a lot of linebackers in that era that could do that. Now there are. So Urlacher deserves a lot of credit because he did help evolve that linebacker position from being a straightforward thumper like Singletary was to being more of a coverage guy. And face it, Urlacher was not a straightforward guy. Just ask Jerome Bettis, as we said earlier. That was and Roquan Smith's biggest criticism when they came out of college is these guys run right at them. And when Roquan in that Georgia championship game, the opposing team just ran right at Roquan and exposed him. He did not have a good game. And so, but nonetheless, in today's NFL, when you're only running the game 10, 15 times a game as opposed to the 30 plus times in the Singletary area, you need guys like Urlacher and Roquan Smith.
I would say that Urlacher, just to be fair here, because I told you I'm not his biggest fan, but I would say for some reason, let's say Jerron and Greg Blosh stayed here a lot longer than they did in his career, that his sacks and stuff would have been through the roof under Greg Blosh. I think Urlacher could have possibly been a Hall of Famer in the other scheme too. So that speaks to his greatness, that he could have adapted to either scheme. And I think he would have been successful at not doing it, would have a lot more splash plays in the other scheme versus the cover two. But I still think Singletary, for what he was more important to the Bears in his era. Especially you have to think, like, Mike won Defensive Player of the Year when Otis was hurt and would never be back with the Bears. And Wilbur was in Washington, and he was carrying Ron Rivera and Jim Morrissey and got Defensive Player of the Year. And the Bears went 12-4. And arguably, if Richard Dent doesn't break his leg, they go to the Super Bowl because your boy that you love so much, Bill Walsh, couldn't beat the Bears until Richard Dent was hurt because they couldn't block him. Every time Joe Montana go back to pass, Dent was in his fucking face. So, I mean, when Dent broke his leg in 88, that's the over between that and Wilbur leaving are the two reasons they probably don't go to the Super Bowl in 88.
Well, we could talk about this topic for hours, but let's get back to the present Bears because there's still a lot to touch on regarding what.
Can I say one more thing quickly?
Please do.
Every time I look at Tooch, I feel like it's like a horror movie where a zombie is going to come from behind him and just like eat his fucking throat out because of it's just so dark.
It's cool. I love the image. I think
like Michael Myers is about to emerge like on Halloween 2.
I want to use the virtual screen and everything, but it's like it just there's too much video lag.
Yeah,
for me, it was
light on the green screen. That's probably why. Watch out, dude! There's somebody behind you.
It's Ron Jeremy coming to give him a hickey.
How close is that body towards you? How similar is that body towards you? He's got some big calves, Ron Jeremy does. Look at those things.
Yeah,
he's got some what?
Big calves.
Oh, I thought you said he had some big balls.
I'm like 6'1", so I mean, he seems like he's stockier.
Oh yeah, he's 5'7" at best.
Yeah.
His dick is 5'8". Oh man, that show last week with Nomad, man, I was fucking laughing all week about it. It was such a good moment.
It's Nomad is behind me. He's about to kick my butt. Sneaking up behind me. About to get hit with a pipe.
That is so all right. I
wanted to talk about Mitch. Remember, you and I were talking a little bit about
Mitch looked good Saturday.
Trubisky, and how the thought I had when watching Mitch make some plays, scrambling around with buying time with his feet and finding the open guy, which is what we had all envisioned for him, when he was with the Bears.
Oh, yeah.
And how ironic was it that now Mitch, it's starting to fulfill his promise and whatever. That's like year 6 or whatever. Sort of. I mean, he looks good right now. We can't say for sure, but ironic for Ryan Pace that Mitch was his signature move. His signature draft pick, and then he when Ryan Pace finally got the chance to hire his own coach. The coach that he hired was the guy that ruined his best pick. Ruined the quarterback. How it's like poetic justice.
Did you all see the footage?
So Bears.
And I'll bring it back to the Bears. Trust me. Did you see the footage of the Jacksonville fans screaming, "You sick fuck" at Deshaun Watson?
Oh yeah, you sent me that.
Yeah, they're just like, "You sick fuck." I wish the Bear fans were yelling that at Nagy, but twist it and say, "You bald fuck. You bald fuck."
Is that the greeting he got? I couldn't hear, but
I don't know what kind of greeting he got, but he deserved all the boos if he got any.
Right.
And it was so good to see him in the fucking red and not the Bears navy or orange or white or whatever variation of Chicago. What's the word I'm looking for? Swag that he could be wearing. I'm glad that he's gone, and hopefully never see him again.
Mm-hmm.
That
was this, the coach that Ryan Pace hired to develop his signature draft pick was the coach that got both their asses fired.
Exactly.
Because Matt Nagy clearly is a supreme liar.
Right, exactly.
He must be like David Koresh if you sit down beside him. You sit down and you're like, this motherfucker might be the son of God.
But see,
hell, I'm going to move to Waco. Matt Nagy, you're hired.
This is what my complaint is that the Bears always hire these people who are learning on the job. It's their first time. We did the same thing with Poles. And here's the controversy at the start of his career, because we hire these inexperienced people. Why can't we hire guys who are like
we hired John Fox and that didn't go well.
Yeah.
Right. But arguably, though, you could argue, though, that Fox was brought in to just set the locker room straight, get in the character guys, the locker room leaders and stuff. And then he was never going to bring us to a championship. He was just there to bring in, the good quality players.
Let me ask you a question then. Entertain my hypothetical. We'll never know the answer, but it's just worth a rhetorical thought. Well, hopefully you'll respond, so it won't be rhetorical. But what if in 2018 it's not Matt Nagy, it's actually John Fox with the same team that was assembled with the Mac trade, with Trubisky at quarterback? Everything's the same except you didn't fire John Fox and he's still the coach. Do the Bears beat the Eagles? Are the Bears in the playoffs? Are they not in the playoffs? Like,
that's a good question. I think the big issue is, would he have supported Trubisky enough so that Trubisky could have played at a championship level? When that one season where Fox coached Trubisky, I think he did a lot of harm to Mitch Trubisky because he preached so much about protecting the ball that Mitch was terrified. If you remember Mitch's first preseason game.
Oh, against Denver.
Right. He was
slinging the rock.
Slinging it around, man. But then him and Don Loggins kept preaching about be careful of the throws. Don't throw an interception. That will kill us and so forth. The poor guy comes in, his first NFL regular season start against the Vikings. What does he do? He throws a fucking interception. It was late in the game. The Bears could have won that game. And I blame that on the fucking brainwashing that Fox did on Trubisky and not letting him be a man, not letting his balls hang out.
But
not letting him
to be fair to Mitch, the next week they won in overtime in Baltimore with the Trubisky pass to Kendall Wright, which set up our favorite kicker to come out and make the field goal. What was his name? The guy that made the miss. It was so bad that Brenneman. That he was like, holy Moses. Connor Barth.
Yeah, Connor Barth.
But Connor Barth made the kick against the Ravens in Mitch's second start. And Mitch had the complete pass to Kendall Wright on 3rd down and 13 to set up the field goal to win the game. Mitch's second ever start.
Jordan Howard ran all over him though, didn't he?
Yeah, and Jordan's ass was showing too. His fucking crack was showing.
Right. His pants came down a little bit. No. But man, that was a great he had some big runs in overtime, I think, right? Didn't he have a huge run?
Yeah, he did, because we were deep in our own territory and he ran for like 45 yards.
Right.
Jordan Howard had the body, especially with his butt always showing. He kind of looked like he would be our fullback, like in the era of Zonka and Franco Harris. He looked like he'd have been the fullback in like 1974. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Aldo?
Say that again.
I was saying Jordan Howard because his ass was always showing. Mm-hmm. He looks like he would have been like the Bears fullback whenever we were playing like Zonka in 73 or something.
Yeah,
he looks like he's from a different era, a fullback from the early 70s.
Roland Harper. He would have been.
Well, I don't know if Roland Harper's ass was always showing, but
I think Walter got some good looks at it.
Isn't it so ironic that Walter hated when Harper got taken out of the lineup? Like, was so pissed off at Matt Suhey by not knowing Suhey, but because he was so friends with Harper. But at the end, it would be Matt Suhey that would be, fucking helping his family with his money and everything. It's just so ironic that, again, he was so against Matt Suhey, and then they would be so tight at the end.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. You had a visitor there, Tooch? You want to?
The girls were. Come here, girls.
All right,
they're sneaking. They wanted to say hi, but I was like, "Oh, show's already started."
Hi.
Look at her,
6-year-old Alita.
Hi, Alita. She can't hear us. We can still
4-year-old Camilla.
Hi, Camilla. I want a cutie. Oh man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's that there's point down that Jamal makes.
Mm-hmm.
Fox didn't even know they were drafting a quarterback. Remember?
Yeah, that shows you how dirty Pace can be.
How the hell? What kind of disconnect do you have to have in an organization to not be on the same page?
If Ryan Pace really thought that John Fox would go to the media because he didn't want Trubisky drafted, if he couldn't trust him, he should have fired him that season. Wouldn't you think if he's like, well, he's not the guy to coach Trubisky, then why do you give him to him in his rookie year?
Yeah.
You should have fired him right then and there if you couldn't trust him. Because honestly, that wasn't fair to Fox.
Very true.
It wasn't fair to Fox to do that to him.
Yeah, I agree, Danny.
We've talked about this before. It was the most gutless thing a GM could ever do. I don't want to tell my head coach that I'm drafting a quarterback that he doesn't want, and so I'm just going to draft them. That is such a gutless fucking thing to do.
And Fox should have been released from his deal then right then and there if they thought, well, he doesn't like my quarterback. Well, hire somebody in 17 that does then.
Yes.
Out of respect for Fox.
Right. Fox should have said, fire me. Pay me my money and fire me, because that was such a dirty fucking thing that you did, you asshole, Ryan Pace.
It's so Bears, with this like dysfunction. How do you Pace didn't want the coach. The coach, the coach didn't want the quarterback. The GM doesn't tell the coach that he's drafting.
The quarterback didn't want that coach.
The quarterback didn't want the coach. It only happens to the Bears.
His grandson has a large dick.
My grandson, man, he's got a fucking whopper on him. I'm like, holy shit, man. You didn't get that from me. I was fucking proud of him. I'm like, go start slaying, brother. My little grandson, start using that, swing that thing around, man. Typical Bears is right, Zachary.
So was Cody Parkey, typical Bears.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Definitely.
One of these days we'll get the right situation. I don't know if I'll be alive, but you guys are much younger than me, so hopefully you'll see this franchise.
I'm not that much younger. Like 10
years. You got 15 years on.
I got another hypothetical question for you.
Okay.
I'm all into this tonight for some reason. All right, Aldo. We're heading into Super Bowl 20. I tell you right now, the Bears are going to win that Super Bowl 46-10 and look like the best team of all time, look like they're going to win 3 in a row. You can either have that, and at the same time, the Patriots will go on to be this super dynasty for 20 years. Or let's say you lose Super Bowl 20, the Patriots win, and then you go on to do that in the 2000s and win this 5-6 Super Bowls. Which one would you have taken?
I would have taken the 85 Bears.
Me too.
Yeah, and my reason being that at that time, as a Chicago sports fan, we were starved for championships, man. The Bulls were nothing. The Blackhawks were nothing. The Blackhawks had not won since 1961. The Cubs, of course, since the early 1900s.
Sox.
The White Sox since the 1910s.
Now everybody's had one except the Bears.
Yeah, exactly. How about that? So we really started. I mean, I think I said this before. When we won, I was with a group of friends, and I made the toast, and I just did a one-word toast, finally. And that meant not just for the Bears, but for all Chicago sports teams. I think there was a Chicago Fire soccer championship during my lifetime before the Bears won, but that didn't count. I was not a soccer fan, and I think there were 20 people in the watching that championship game for the soccer team. But yeah, definitely. I'm just hoping we can experience that again, because as Tillman told this Bears class when he met with the players about a month ago when they first attended Hallis Hall, he said that this town will love you guys because it is a Bears town. And he's right. But the Bears might start losing their grip on that if they continue their losing ways. I have talked with diehard Chicago Bears fans who are at that precipice right now. A couple of more, 2 or 3 more seasons where they look pathetic, they might just say, hey, fuck it. I'm going to buy me a book on Sundays, and I'm going to read that as opposed to watching this trash and wasting my time on this.
What do you think about them moving? If they do move, too, is that going to hurt some purists?
It might. I think a very small minority. I think that the Bears have done due diligence. I get surveys from the Bears all the time. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? I think that they've done the research, and the fact that Soldier Field is such a pit. It's a pit to get in and out of. It's a pit to experience a game. Now, the seating, Dan, you and I sat next to each other. The seating is great. It's a kind of a great venue to watch the game, but stepping out of there and waiting in line for fucking 20 minutes to get a bottle of water and finding a place to take a piss, trying to find the souvenir shop, finding your car afterwards and stuff. You got to park fucking 15 miles away. Fuck all that, man.
We had to get on a school bus that looked like we're going to jail.
That's right. For the Millennium Parking
We're
lot.
going to Rikers Island on the fucking bus.
That's right. By the way, Dan, when you said something about Matt Nagy, fans should have been yelling out, "You bald fuck," I immediately thought, I got to get fucking tickets to a Chiefs game for Dan and me to go, and we just lead the fucking chants, "You bald fuck, you fucking asshole."
Yeah, man. Or even the "you sick fuck," the one that Watson got. I don't know if he's done anything to be considered sick, but he deserves the insult some way, somehow. I could justify it.
What do you think about the fact that Goodell appears to want him to get a full 1 year suspension?
I'm going to defend Watson in the sense that his actions allegedly are not defensible, but he wasn't convicted of a crime. They were nonviolent, and he already missed one full season. Maybe that wasn't a mandate, but either way, he already missed one full season of his career. He's basically missing another half season of his career now in what was thought to be his prime. Now, if you take 2 years, you saw what happened to Eddie Goldman. Solid player, takes a year off, comes back, he's a scrub. I hate to say it, and he left. So, I mean, how's that going to affect a quarterback? I mean, I think I'm not going to say, if he's guilty of all of that, regardless of what his punishment is, it's never going to seem enough. But in terms of, I'm not the moral police here. If you're just asking me to talk about his football, he's already suffered a full season without it. He's basically missing another half year now. I think that if he rapes somebody or something, that's different. Asking them to stick a thumb in his ass, reprehensible, yes, but it's not like he forcibly penetrated them either.
What do you think about Watson's apology? He issued an apology last week saying he apologizes to everyone that he's hurt and so forth. It was almost like a mea culpa.
He was told to do it. I mean, everybody knows that. And he probably isn't sorry. He's probably just a complete scumbag and probably just thinks women are there to serve him. Like, I don't know. I don't want to just say that. But he could be the biggest asshole in the world as far as I know. But in terms of the punishment of what he's already suffered, again, he's not been convicted of a crime here. He hasn't even been charged. So, I don't know. I think right where the punishment is right where it should be, considering that he missed the whole last season too.
What do you think, Tooch?
Yeah, I agree with Dan. I mean, 6 games is probably about right. I mean, he also missed last year, like Dan said. I mean, I don't know how. First thing I think is, like, how old is this kid? You know, I mean, he's probably just immature. You know, I'm not excusing his actions, but people do dumb shit when they're immature. You know, so maybe he's a sex addict, like David Duchovny. You know, I don't know.
That's right.
You know, or Dan Aguirre.
I'll take that.
Better to be a sex addict than an asshole. Or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and for sure, I mean, like, look, like Aldo, you said earlier before, there ain't enough quarterbacks in the league as it is. You know, there's barely 32 of them. You know, I mean, for the sake of, at least for a viewership and popularity and clicks or whatever, or, you know, Nielsen ratings, whatever kind of ratings is, you got to have Deshaun Watson playing, especially in a market like Cleveland, where that division's going to be real tough. Man, you have 4 really good teams competing for it. You know, might as well. Browns have a good defense. Let's see what Deshaun Watson can do in there. That division's going to be super competitive, just like the AFC West. You know, so those 2 divisions are going to be, they're really almost up for grabs.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, we say it's so Bears, but really it's so Browns is the one that really does resonate. And it's so Browns to get rid of the guy that won your first playoff game since Bill Clinton was president, and to bring in an alleged sex predator and pay him all that money and give up all that you did. Wouldn't you? I mean, my early prediction is that whenever Watson plays, he's probably going to fall on his ass in Cleveland, and they're going to regret this move.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like 1 of 5, and he came in. Looked like shit, but I mean, he hasn't played in what, a year and a half.
Yeah, so it's going to take a while.
Yeah, I think in like 10 years they'll look back at that trade as being like, oh, we set the organization back again.
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland Browns fans have had it worse than Chicago Bears fans. That's a long-suffering franchise. So,
and they're loyal. Give them credit. They sell out even when they're awful.
Yeah, well, there's nothing else to do because that fucking Rock and Roll Hall of Fame sucks. According to Dan Aguirre.
It did suck.
I'm glad I didn't go. I apologize for letting you down and not going with you. I'm glad I didn't go. Let's see if
Dan is right, though. I mean, it's kind of like there's no flow or anything to it. And it's all disorganized. You got stuff here and stuff there. And while a lot of the stuff is really cool to look at, but it could really benefit from having some organization and flow. I don't know what the deal is, why it is.
No rhyme, no reason.
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no fucking rhyme or reason why it's in Cleveland. I mean, is Cleveland the birthplace of rock and roll or any significance? Why the fuck is that place in Cleveland to begin with?
You couldn't get
think it might be New Orleans.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to go there because Lake Erie was so fucking polluted. We need to bring some tourism in.
Yeah.
Is it? I can't bring myself to watch Hard Knocks. Out Don Burr's back and says the greatest episode ever. It's the fucking Lions. I don't give a shit. I like Hard Knocks and shit. I haven't watched it. Have you guys? Either of you guys watched it?
Yeah, I saw the first one. I was commenting on it earlier.
Right. Okay.
It's fucking ridiculous how they're portraying these coaches, and Dan Campbell is all fucking talk. I don't think he's a strategist whatsoever. He's about a rah stuff. He's out there doing fucking push-ups with his team. No, that's for the players to do. You're a fucking coach. You should be reading the rule book because last year you didn't even know fucking part of the rules. So this, he's the perfect meathead to have on a show like Hard Knocks.
I'm going to say if they would be successful, he's their Ditka.
Oh,
I mean, and again, I love Ditka, so I'm not gonna. He's got balls, man. The Lions went for it a bunch on 4th down when other coaches wouldn't, and stuff like. I agree, he would be better suited to be your assistant, while your head coach knows the rule book and he's inspiring them in different ways. But to be honest with you, I've only watched one episode of Hard Knocks ever. I watched one of the ones with Gruden when he was like knocking, like knock if you feel me or whatever he said. That's the only episode I've ever watched at any point at any year that they've had the show.
Should I be watching it, Aldo, or Dan? If Dan isn't watching it, is Dan watching it?
No, I've watched one episode ever in the history of the show.
Yeah. I
just don't give a shit.
It's so well produced that from that standpoint, I say if you're an NFL fan, I think it's good to watch at least a handful of episodes. Because they have unbelievable access. Some years are better than others. I will say that this season, the episode that I watched was interesting, and it's very well produced.
Yeah.
But I think the one that I want to see this year is the in-season Hard Knocks that starts in November. They'll be following the Arizona Cardinals. And that's around the time that team should be imploding. So that should be fun to watch.
Is that the one on Amazon?
I think they're going to be on HBO this year. It was on Amazon last year, but I saw the promo for it on HBO. So I'm assuming it's going to be there. So it is. I will urge you guys to at least watch one episode. Maybe we can talk about it next week.
Do you think the Lions will go over the win total for the season? I mean, I think they're pegged about 5 wins.
That team has so much talent, so much young, promising talent. I am a little bit concerned that they could finish better than the Bears this season.
Yeah.
But then I look at Dan Campbell and I say, I don't have to worry.
Yeah, well, it's true. I mean, they do have some talent. And last year, a lot of their games were decided by like 7 points or less. I think they had the most games in the NFL that were decided by 7 points or less. So arguably, a break here or there could have their record could have been a lot better. But here we got another prediction here. But
that's a reasonable prediction.
I will tell you again, during the era of our friend Mark Trestman and John Fox, the Bears dropped 7 straight games to Detroit. So I never feel too chesty about beating my chest saying we're so much better than the Lions. I feel like we're right there with them. Like Brandon Marshall once said they were our little brother. Kind of feel like that's the same thing.
Yeah.
I feel like they're the same as we are, except we've got that one shiny Super Bowl trophy.
Yeah. I have a really bad track record of talking shit about a team, and then all of a sudden they come out and prove me wrong. So
Is that why Green Bay has been good for 30 years? Because you just talk so much shit in the 80s?
Exactly. Exactly. So I better keep my fucking mouth shut, which is something my wife told me the other day when I was making some crude jokes. Keep your fucking mouth shut. I'm like, honey, I never hear you swear. And she said, well, I'm going to keep swearing if you come up with those stupid jokes of yours. So, okay.
Let's say the Bears wouldn't win the Super Bowl, which is my number one thing this season, what I want. And I don't care what anybody says. That's what I want as a fan. That's what I hope for, and I'm not giving up hope until it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to shock the world. But if you said there was no chance of that happening, no way it's ever going to happen this year, which I don't want to know if that's the case. Like someone come back from the future like Biff and ruined it for me or whatever, like Back to the Future too. Don't tell me. Don't fucking tell me. But if I had to say the second thing I would want, I want Green Bay to have a losing season.
Yeah.
With Rodgers starting.
Yes.
Not like, oh, he broke his collarbone again. I want that motherfuckers to finally fall on his face.
Well, if ever there was an off season for Aaron Rodgers that's trending in that direction, Dan, it's this one. I mean, he's been doing peyote, ayahuasca. Yeah. He's yelling at his receivers. He lost
any
his best
other
receiver,
player
right?
would have probably been suspended for that drug shit too.
No shit.
Right. Yeah. How does he escape that?
I would love to see the Bears defense just pummel him to the point where he looks like he is on ayahuasca as he's walking off the field.
Although I need to get, while we're talking about wins and losses for the season totals, I need to get Dan Aguirre riled up here with this one.
Oh my
this
God.
one popped up on my DraftKings app. Dan, Ross Tucker's favorite win total under the Bears under 6.5 regular season wins.
And who's Ross Tucker?
Who the fuck is Ross Tucker? That's Dan's. It's this guy.
Yeah, but who's that guy?
He's a former NFL player who is now a analyst at the NFL Network and does he does his own podcast, which is fairly popular. He's got a popular podcast. Yeah.
But his brother was the better player, I think, Rex Tucker, right?
Oh, I didn't know Rex Tucker was his player.
I think they're like twin brothers or something.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. No, Ross Tucker. I'm actually kind of surprised that Ross Tucker has such a popular podcast because he sounds like a meathead. But
yeah, I had him pegged about 6-7 wins. I think Dan and I, when you were out, I went through the games on the Bears schedule and had 7 and 10. So my bet would lean towards the over, but
if this were Rex,
best bet is under 6.5. Are we in for a rocky season, Dan? No way, right?
If this were Rex Tucker, it would give me a little bit more pause because at least he was a Bear.
Right.
But Ross Tucker, whom I'm like, who? Fuck what Ross Tucker thinks. Right. I say the Bears are going to win at least 9. At least 9.
Tell me the 9, Dan. Up on the screen, we've got the schedule that I designed myself. This is a beautiful schedule.
Yeah. All right, you're going to make me pick 9 wins out of that. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. We're beating Green Bay in week 2.
Yes!
Mark it.
Wow, nice.
Mark it. All right. We're going to beat Lovey.
Oh, yeah.
Lovey's 0-2 against us. We're going to beat the Giants.
Okay.
Are those away games, the orange?
Orange is on the road, and white is at home.
White is at home. Okay.
We're going to beat Washington.
Mm-hmm. Wait a minute. Did you say New York? We're not going to lose against New York, are we?
I said New York.
Okay. So
I'm skipping around, but I'm just going to the obvious ones. I'm going to say we upset Green Bay week 2.
Okay.
We're going to beat Houston.
Okay.
Going to beat the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Going to beat Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just skipping around. Like I said, I'm not saying we're losing these other ones.
Mm-hmm.
We'll beat the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Beat the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we split 1 with Minnesota, lose 1 with Minnesota. Split 1 with Detroit, lose with 1 with Detroit. That's 8 wins there.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say we beat, it could be Miami, could be San Francisco, could be Dallas, any of those, and you got 9. Could be Philly.
Yeah.
So I've already given you 9 right there.
Yes, you have. All right. Here's my thinking. Then, Tooch, I want you to jump in. I really, really believe, with some luck, that we can steal that game week 1 against the 49ers. Trey Lance does not fucking impress me whatsoever. He's, that could be a game where that defense is going to score a couple touchdowns. I agree with Dan that on Sunday Night Football, it is finally going to be that moment where the Bears just fuck Rodgers up. We're going to be 2-0, 3-0 beating Lovey, 4-0 beating the Giants. We lose our first game at fucking US Bank Stadium against the Minnesota Vikings, but we come back a few days later and we beat the shit out of Captain Jack Ron Rivera. We're 5-1 in the first third of the season. How amazing is that? Then things start to go poorly as we lose 2 in a row to the Patriots and the fucking Cowboys.
Well, let me interrupt you there just for a second.
Okay.
And in the last 10 years, we usually beat Dallas.
Yes, we have had.
Like Jay beat them repeatedly in Dallas over and over and over. And we beat them with Josh McCown. Mitch beat them. I mean, God, Dallas, man, fuck. Dallas should be looking at the Bears saying that's an L. We always beat Dallas.
Fuck it. We're going 17-0, baby.
I'm not saying Dallas can't beat us, but overwhelmingly, I'd say out of the last 10 times, we've won 8 of them.
Yeah. I know this, man. We could win 10 games. The Lions, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't beat the Lions two games. The Packers, I really do believe this could be the year that we beat them twice. The divisional games are the most important to me.
So you got them in the playoffs too, it sounds like.
Today, and then after I wake up, after my hangover, I'll say, fuck, it's going to be a losing season. I don't know. What do you think, Tooch?
Where'd you guys put the ayahuasca? Just kidding.
It's in Wisconsin.
I need a hit off that. I had them at 7 wins. I mean, I think they could beat the 49ers in week 1 with Trey Lance. That'll be a good game, though. I think it'll be close. They sure can steal the Packers, take them by surprise. But, I mean, it's hard to win up there. So I probably, Lovey, that's probably a win. At home versus Lovey, that should be a win. On the road at the Giants, man, I'll take the Bears in that one. But they got a new coaching staff, too. I just don't think they have good enough quarterback talent. But we'll see. I mean, that's a good offensive coach up there in the Giants. And then, the Vikings will probably win at home against us. I think we take the Commanders. They're nothing. And then, like you said, it's going to be tough to win on the road 2 games in a row. But could they beat the Cowboys? Sure. Cowboys aren't that good. I think the Dolphins, man, the Dolphins always beat us.
They do. Well, no, we beat them in Miami, but they beat us up here typically.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's going to be – I could see, they've got some real speed at wide receiver. They've got great running backs, too. And their defense is okay. It's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, as I told you, too.
The Lions, yep.
Hold on. The Bears haven't beaten Miami in Chicago since opening day 88.
Yeah. It's been a long
We're doing
time.
it this year, Aldo. We're doing it because we're going to be there.
Zach says losses: San Francisco, Minnesota, Green Bay, New England, Dallas, Miami, Detroit, Philadelphia, Buffalo split in the division. Maybe if Fields stays healthy, 8 and 9 is his prediction. I think, how Lovey said we divide the season into quarters. Now
Sure.
I like saying let's divide it into thirds because it looks better with my graphic. I think they can win 3 games in each of those third seasons. So that's 9 victories.
Boom. That's what I said.
Yeah, you're right, man.
Yeah. If you look at it that way, in that first group, you got the Texans, the Giants, and the Commanders. Probably that's 3. Then you got the Falcons, Jets, and possibly the Cowboys or Lions.
The Lions at home, the Falcons on the road. We should beat the Falcons on the road.
Should beat Miami at home too.
You should.
Even though it hasn't happened in forever, it should happen.
So in week 9, 10, 11, 12, you got to find 3 victories there. And as you guys said, those 2 road games, week 7 and 8, those are going to be tough. So let's just say those are losses. I think you could win 3 out of those 4 and maybe even all 4 in that week 9.
That last group, I'm struggling to find 3 wins though.
See, my thinking here, though, Tooch, is that by this time, this Bears team should be playing at a really high level. This 2022 season is going to be one of those seasons where you see the Bears are knocking on the door. They're getting better week by week by week. So they're definitely going to beat the Vikings and the Lions.
Yeah.
That's definite. And so
Kirk Cousins playing us in the snow, maybe.
Yeah.
While we're there, we're going to be there.
That's right, baby. And then week 15 is the key one. They're coming off a bye, so they would have had 10 days to prepare for the Eagles. So that's where that third victory is coming in, that third.
And they should beat Detroit. They should. I'm not saying they will, but they should beat Detroit. It's going to be up there in the climate-controlled dome.
Mm-hmm.
In theory, they could beat Detroit, Minnesota, and Philly right there. On paper, they should lose to Green Bay and Buffalo, but that Green Bay game's in Chicago. So I know we've only beaten Rodgers at home twice, but if the team's getting better, it's time to beat him at home.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time we beat Green Bay in Green Bay?
The last time we won with Jay Cutler. Yeah, in 2015.
Yeah. That was a sweet victory, man.
That was great. They scheduled us like homecoming.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
7 years we're due.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is.
Christmas Day, our Christmas is gonna suck because fucking the Bills are gonna trounce us, man.
Well, you don't know that Josh Allen could be off,
if
be
he's
hurt.
injured, hurt or whatever, but
he could have the worst game of the season.
Yeah, but on paper right now, the Bills look like a Super Bowl quality team.
For sure.
And the Bears were not there, so
yeah,
that shut Dan up. Like, okay.
Well, no, I'm just saying I agree with that, but. Fuck, you're telling me we're going to play in December? Like anything can happen between now and December.
Mm-hmm.
Like Buffalo could be one of those teams. Every year there's a team. How many years in the last decade has ESPN predicted the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl or be a part of the Super Bowl or some shit, and they go 6-10? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this could happen to Buffalo. It could be like, oh, they read their own press clippings.
Mm-hmm.
They thought that they were so great, and then suddenly, the Patriots win the AFC East. If I told you Buffalo hell, they struggled at various points last year and then came on at the end. Like they were like in mid-season, they were disappointing early on last season. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, if I told you Belichick found a way to beat Buffalo and win that division, would you really be like, oh, that's improbable?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the talent level on Buffalo, though, man, right now, it's, you got some the defense is that's going to be one of fucking good defense up there.
I mean, we'll see. They probably had like a 99 out of 100% chance to win that playoff game last year and managed to shit it away.
Mm-hmm.
After they scored with like 11 seconds to go and they still fucking lost. That they always say that the team that loses the Super Bowl comes back the next year with the hangover. Imagine if you lost that playoff game and lost it the way that they did. You know what I mean? Like I was listening to that. I had to go to Kroger for some reason. I forget why, but I was listening to it on satellite radio and I was like, fuck, they scored it. Buffalo's going to win it. I go in the store and I come back and they fucking lost. What?
It's amazing. You're right.
There's like 11 seconds left. There's no way Kansas City wins, right? 12 seconds. What was it? Was it 12?
Yeah.
12.
No way.
That was one of the best games I've seen in a long time.
It was amazing.
Or how about Atlanta being up 28-3 on the Patriots in the Super Bowl? No way New England's coming back to win, right? What happened? That's what I'm saying. Like, you never know. The NFL truly is, to steal the WWF's slogan from 1994, anything can happen in the NFL.
Yep. David Cobb asked a good question. New England is fucking overrated now.
I agree.
Yeah. Let's get back to that fucking schedule. I'm saying that's a win too, man. We got 4 wins. We're now at 10, baby.
Well, they're beatable.
I'll say that they're beatable, but we haven't beaten them since 2000.
Yeah, but that was with Tom Brady. So
no, that was with Drew Bledsoe. The last time we beat them was with Drew Bledsoe. We never beat Brady until he was in Tampa.
That's what I meant.
When was the last time we won on Monday Night Football, though, too?
They won a lot of games on Monday night with Cutler there.
Yeah, that's true. So
Cutler was like 80% wins on Monday night.
Yeah, and you've got 10 games to prepare for that Patriots game. That's a fucking win, man. I'm sorry. Fuck the Patriots.
But in recent
They're
times,
beatable for sure.
in recent times, I'll take you back. They had that big snowstorm in Chicago in 2010. New England comes there and wins 38-3. Let's rewind. The Urlacher game in 06, that happens in New England. 10, the snow, and the Patriots blow us out in Soldier Field. 14, that's the game. It was 51-3 with Lamar Houston celebrating the sack. And then in 18, they lose by half a yard when Kevin White caught the Hail Mary and he didn't get in.
Why are you depressing me? I was feeling happy.
But that Kevin White thing, if he'd have scored, do you think if he had scored there, that changes his whole trajectory as a Bear?
Probably not, but maybe. I mean, the guy never got a fucking break. I feel so bad for Kevin White, man.
He caught that pass, though, a half yard short. It's like the fucking the Titans in the Super Bowl against the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just a pubic hair away from tying the game, and you lose.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. It's fucking pathetic what's happened with this franchise. All right, guys. We got about 10, 15 minutes left. Dan, you seen anything on the TV tube that you want to share with our
I've been too busy. The two things I did watch in recent days. One, I watched for the first time in more than 20 years, I watched Shivers.
Oh, man. Great Cronenberg movie. David Cronenberg did that.
I don't love it, didn't hate it, and I liked it better this time than I did back then. Back then, I thought it was just too PG-13ish with the nudity and stuff. If the movie is about you're uncontrollably fucking everything, whether that be homosexuality or pedophilia or whatever, or fucking old people, whatever, you get a virus and you get so horny, then there should be a lot more goddamn nudity is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it was okay. I liked it, but the other thing that I watched, I'll also say was okay, but I will give you that I thought I was disappointing. The finale of Westworld season 4 was extremely disappointing in my book. The whole season in its entirety was okay. There was the worst of the 4, but it was okay. But the finale, I won't spoil because I assume Tooch isn't there yet. I thought the finale was underwhelming, and it looks like there's going to be a season 5, and they've teased it going back to the Westworld of season 1. That's the only spoiler that you'll get. But I thought Westworld's finale was very underwhelming for me.
Tooch told me before the show that he's just given up on Westworld. Fuck Westworld.
I think I'm 3 episodes in. I've had to watch each episode twice because I'm lost. It's like fucking.
A lot of times, I agree with you on that. It's like sometimes you have like a David Lynch kind of thing where he gets off on the fans being confused and refuses to tell what he thinks and stuff. But I don't think that the Westworld creators are anywhere near as bright as, say, David Lynch. So I think at this point, they're just to use a cliche, throwing shit against the wall and trying to make it convoluted so that you're like, oh, but really it's great because I don't understand it. It's like Twin Peaks or something like that. But in the end, it's like they're intentionally trying just to make you not understand it, but almost disingenuously because they're hiding the fact that their show's kind of running out of gas.
Yeah.
But it was okay. It was okay, but go ahead.
I was just going to ask, both of you saw Breaking Bad, right?
I saw season 1 and I didn't like it.
Okay.
I haven't watched it.
Okay.
My wife watched it without me, so I was like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's an outstanding show, and the sequel, Better Call Saul, had their season finale. I gave up on Better Call Saul after season 1 just because I don't know. I don't know why I did, but
because of the foot fetish of Bob Odenkirk.
Probably. But I do want to binge it now that it's over, and so many people are saying it was very good, and so I do want to give it a shot. But Dan, I really do encourage you to go and Tooch watch watch Breaking Bad. It really is one of the most outstanding TV series. It's up there with Mad Men, Sopranos.
I just didn't like the first season. I just couldn't dig it, man. I don't know why I didn't. I thought it was completely unlikely and implausible that this boy and this school teacher would team up to make meth or whatever the fuck they were doing.
No way. It's not implausible. That shit happens all the time.
I didn't like it. I don't know, man. I tell you a show that also that everybody else loves that I just can't get into, and they're binging this shit at my job now. All the women are, and I hated it because my wife watched it, and I just didn't like it. I hate Orange is the New Black. I just fucking hate it.
Yeah, that's one that
it's so fucking unbelievable, implausible, the shit that happens on that show.
Yeah.
And we work in law enforcement. Everyone there should be shitting on it.
Mm-hmm.
It might as well just be a cartoon. Fucking hate that show.
Zach thinks you're just a contrarian.
I'll tell you if there's shit I like, and that show's just not one I like.
I have to agree with you on Orange is the New Black, and Cliff agrees with that too. Is that I didn't like the first season. I gave up on it afterwards. Part of the reason I didn't like it is that I didn't find any of the characters likable, and so. And then every once in a while, when subsequent seasons, I'd read stuff like, "Wow, this character is great on Orange," and I keep thinking to myself, "Should I give it another shot?" The critics like it. I hear a lot of good things, but I've never gone back to it, and I don't plan to.
Yeah, I just didn't dig it, man.
Tooch, you saw something that you thought was pretty good.
Yeah, I saw a show that everybody watching this podcast should watch because the fucking name of the show is called The Bear. It's really good, man. It's on FX, Hulu, and it's set in Chicago. It's shot on film. It's like a movie. Each episode's like shot like a movie. It's really good, man. Is
it a comedy?
It's like it's a dramedy.
Okay.
It's comedy, it's drama, more drama, but it has a lot of funny moments as well too. It's got a cast of characters, and it takes place in like a Mr. Beef. Mr. Beef, Aldo.
I love Mr. Beef.
Yeah, fuck yeah. And he inherits this shop. Yeah, this is it.
Great cast.
That's the guy from Shameless, right?
Shameless. Yep. Jeremy Allen White. He's excellent in it, man. He's like the main character, the chef. He inherits the beef shop. It's great, man. It's really good. There's all Chicago stuff. The soundtrack is great. It's got a lot of great tunes, man. Some stuff I had to Shazam up. Look at Wilco, a lot of Chicago bands and stuff. Got great shots of Chicago. And I watched it in 3 days. It's only 8 episodes. I really got into it, man. There's some good drama, some good storytelling, and the acting is fantastic.
This looks really good to me. I got to check this out.
Yeah, it's excellent.
The one guy they just showed on the trailer there was from HBO show Girls. Toward the end, I enjoyed that show a lot. I know a lot of people didn't, but
yeah, I like that show too, Dan.
Yeah.
I got one more thing to tell you. I watched before I go. Now we talked about this extensively last year when Aaron was on here. But HBO last year had their Woodstock 99 documentary, which we watched and talked about. But for some reason, Netflix has one now called Trainwreck, and I watched it in the middle of the night last week, and it's way less fun. I don't want to say fun, but the HBO one was extremely head and shoulders above the one on Netflix, in my opinion. The little things about it that I hate, like they portray the Red Hot Chili Peppers as being the closing band of the whole thing, and that's not accurate. Again, I wasn't Shane Marceau. I was at the event, but I was watching live on pay-per-view and recorded the whole 3 days. I had like 18 VHS tapes, recorded the whole damn thing. And Megadeth closed the festival. A small thing I get. But if you're doing a documentary, then get your fucking facts straight.
Absolutely.
That kind of shit bothers me.
Is Dan a Red Hot Chili Peppers fan?
No,
Not
but
really.
I mean, they're okay. I don't dislike them. I wouldn't necessarily.
Have I ever told my Red Hot Chili Peppers story? I don't think I have.
No.
Fucking, I was at spring break Daytona Beach in 1989. Three of my friends from college, we drove down there. And we're like hanging out on the beach, getting drunk and stuff. And there was an airplane.
You're starting to sound like that Kid Rock song all summer long.
there was an airplane flying over and it said Red Hot Chili Peppers live on the pool deck of the Texan Hotel. So we were like, fuck, let's go over there, man. We got there, man. I was standing right in front of the stage, man. I was right there. It was Mother's Milk was the album, which was a great album. And I got to watch the Chili Peppers play, man. That horn section is fucking killer. And I stood right in front of Flea, man. I was like 10 feet from the dude. They had fucking all around too on the side. There were gorgeous Florida babes in bikinis dancing, man. It was the best concert I've ever seen.
Yeah, that sounds fucking awesome.
Well, gentlemen, on that note, I got to go. I had fun. As always, I got to piss so bad. That's why I'm leaving a few minutes early and before I go to work. But I got to work till 4:00 tomorrow. So I'm miserable. But you all made it better. Congratulations on your grandson. And the thing we talked about off air prior to, you have my deepest empathy, sympathy, condolences, and love, man. I'm sorry.
Thank you, brother. Love you.
All right.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
And then there were
Manny.
two, Johnny Santucci and Aldo. They were socks in their dicks.
They were famous for coming out with just wearing socks on their dicks. You know, naked. The Chili Peppers. I saw them a bunch of times when I was in college. Yeah, it was a blast. But somebody put on. I got to talk one more thing I watch. I told you I've been like introducing my wife to these classic movies. And we watched 48 Hours, like Eddie Murphy's first.
I saw it about a month ago. Yeah,
she really enjoyed it, and I go, wow, let's watch. Let me pick a movie that you probably never saw. It's an old movie. I love this film. It's an Alan Parker film. It's called The Commitments. Don't know if you've ever seen it before.
I now remember that. Yes, Alan Parker, the famous.
Right.
He made a lot of great movies.
A lot of great movies.
A great film with a great soundtrack.
It's so killer. It's like about a poor Irish kids in Dublin who form a soul band.
Yes.
You know, it's like the ending is great. They like reach this height and the denouement is delicious. You know, and it's like the music is fucking fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
The build up to like where they're gonna like jam with Wilson Pickett at the end of the movie. You know, and all the characters. The music's fantastic, and the fights and the coming together, everything. Yeah, it's a great movie. Yeah,
I have got to look for that again because that would be outstanding.
It really holds up too. It holds up well. You know, if you watch it again, it's bittersweet. You know, and
good call. What else have you shared with her that a movie from yesteryear that she enjoyed?
I recently watched with my two toddlers The Wizard of Oz, you know, and they got a kick out of it too. They're just like, you know, because the graphics, you know, are kind of like, you know, looking at it today, but still they loved it, you know, with everything, you know, it's still like fantasy for them and stuff. But
that's a movie that I think will hold up for till Kingdom Come because, you know, you can laugh at the effects and some of the Hollywood filmmaking of the day, but the story still holds up so well. It's a beautiful fairy tale, and Judy Garland is just fantastic at it. And the guy that played the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and the Cowardly Lion, those guys were great actors. So that's a good one for kids.
Yep, and you know, they love Toto, of course. You know. But I haven't watched anything yet with my wife. You know, we were at the state fair over the weekend and stuff. I introduced my wife to bluegrass music, which you know she didn't know, being from the Philippines. I was like, this is traditional American music, you know, and it was like all senior citizens playing, you know, bluegrass.
Right.
You know, they were fucking awesome, dude. I got some like video and stuff. You know, you had a fiddle player, banjo, mandolin, acoustic guitar, and an upright bass, and they all sang, and they had beautiful you know, like barbershop quartet harmonies and stuff. It was fucking kick-ass. You know, and it was free concert in this old barn called Pioneer Hall on the Iowa State Fairgrounds, so it was really great. But you know, you were talking about David Cronenberg, right? I'm itching to see Crimes of the Future, which is his newest one.
Yeah.
Do you know the movie I'm talking about?
I'm pretty sure I read something about it, but I'm forgetting. Remind me.
It sounds fucking disgusting. But it's like, you know, it's like it takes place in the near future where human beings have mutated due to pollution and climate change or whatever, and they're have gone through body modifications. And Viggo Mortensen is the star. He's documenting his surgeries and his decline into death, you know, through video. as he is an artist,
Yes.
and all of his body modifications and surgeries. And it's most fascinates me and disgusts me. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to check it out as soon as I can. But
I mean, anything Cronenberg does, even his bad stuff, I want to check out because he's just such a fascinating filmmaker. I'm not a big Marvel fan, but I do have to admit that I am interested in watching the new series that's coming out, She-Hulk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because of her. She's fantastic. She was a star of Orphan Black, a show where she played multiple characters. And the fact that she's starring as She-Hulk to me makes this a fucking must see for me. I'm at least gonna give it 2 or 3 episodes. Hopefully it starts off strong. And she's sexy and the concept is interesting. So I'm definitely gonna check this out. I think it starts streaming later this week.
Those Marvel TV shows, they're like always unexpected things happen in it, like the WandaVision. That was like, I was like, I don't like this. And then all of a sudden I was like, whoa, this is a real mind fuck. You know?
I've not seen that. I think I'm gonna give that a shot too. Because
the Hawkeye one was great with Jeremy Renner and Haley Stanfield. That was just pure entertainment. That was really good.
The thing about watching Marvel stuff is that if I'll start watching this, I'm just afraid that I'm gonna miss some of the references because I haven't watched the fucking 500 other Marvel movies, and I know they make reference to other stuff, and I hate being out of the joke or not in on the gag or whatever it is. But I'm still really interested in this. And Tatiana Maslany, the actress here.
Is that who that is? Yeah, she's freaking hot.
She is hot and just a really, really versatile performer. She can pull off anything. So I'm interested in her career.
Yeah, she was the one in that remake of Perry Mason.
Oh, which is another series I want to watch.
That was really good too.
Yeah, that was on HBO like a year or
You're
two.
like always hoping that Perry and her get together.
Okay.
Throughout the whole series, the tension's really good.
So was the character's name Belle Starr or something like that in the Perry Mason show?
I can't remember. That was
doesn't matter.
No, that was another girl, but there was the girl who was the subject of the investigation. One of the main case that went through this first season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Moon Knight was another one that was like a mind fuck, But
I got to answer J Rock's question here. He asked, "Do I like muscle bound women?" I never was really turned on by that. But then I was at an event back in the early '90s. I went down to Disney World as part of a CBS. We were doing some taping there, and then they did a Disney threw a party for all the TV producers and cameramen and celebrities that were down there. And I went to the party, and I went down there with a few friends because I was able to take some guests with me. And this beautiful looking muscle bound woman picked up one of my friends, and this guy was 200 pounds, rock solid. And she picked him up and started holding him like that. I started taking pictures. I started to get turned on. So ever since then, yes, the answer is yes. Muscle bound women are kind of hot.
Yeah, they're all right, man. I used to, when I lived in the city, I used to work out at this place called the Bucktown Fitness Club. Bucktown Fitness Club.
BTT?
Bucktown.
Oh,
it's like by Wicker Park area. That area, West Town.
I'm just fucking with you. I live
West Town. But yeah. I used to work out there, and there was this really hot French chick who would give me, was one of the trainers there. I used to take some training with her and stuff, and she had a fucking great ass too, man. God, she was hot. She was an older lady, probably. I don't know. I was maybe like late 20s or late 20s, and she was probably 40s. So it's like not only she had the MILF thing going, but she had the nice, build and ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember once my wife and I went to a health club. We were going to enroll, and so this woman starts showing us around. This is where this is. This is where that is. And she had a fantastic body. And my wife, the woman was walking in front of us. My wife looked at her ass and said to me, I wish I had an ass like that. And I looked at her and said, I wish you had an ass like that. But yeah, I definitely like anybody that's in shape, which is why I hate myself right now because I'm so badly out of shape. Anyone in shape, I have appreciation for.
Yeah, I guess Mo Bierman had a stand at the Iowa State Fair.
Wow,
he had a concession stand, man. That was I went Sunday, and had I got a couple things. I usually get the Cajun chicken on a stick. It's fucking awesome. It's like beer battered chicken, but the batter has like Cajun seasoning in it, so it's kind of reddish.
Oh, nice.
And then it has like pickles and onions on it's like a kebab.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all like beer batter deep fried. It's fucking killer. And then they had a new one. It's like a Vietnamese stand with Vietnamese. There's a lot of Vietnamese population in Des Moines.
Wow.
And they had a pork belly like bao buns. It was like a banh mi, a little miniature banh mi on one of those bao buns, or like a soft dough. It was really good. And then of course you got to get the corn dog.
Oh yeah,
corn dogs are the best.
Mm-hmm.
And some other ice cream stuff. There's a lot of good ice cream places and stuff.
Sounds like a blast, man.
I'm supposed to get kettle corn. I'm gonna have to check it out. That was up on the hill where I was seeing the bluegrass band.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that bluegrass thing sounds fantastic.
It was great, man. It was like a couple songs brought a little tear to my eyes because I was enjoying it so much. And then, they did a song called the Iowa Waltz, which they were talking about the origin of the song and how they thought it should be the state song.
Mm-hmm.
Then they played this beautiful version of it and stuff. It was great. My two girls were dancing in the front of the stage, and it was mostly senior citizens there. And they were like, oh, as they were walking off, they were like, oh, your kids are so cute. We had fun, watching them dance and stuff. They're doing their little, dances and stuff. Because when you're that age, you don't care, you dance like you don't care,
Indeed.
4 and 6 years old. They don't care. They don't care that people are watching them,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it's time to pull the plug on this episode of Dan and Aldo. I hate to leave so early. We usually go till 11 in this segment, but I got stuff to do in the morning, and I want to let
I did too. I made a reservation after this to have sex with my wife, so I gotta.
Nice.
So, I have to make reservations. That's where we are at this.
Yeah.
When you get the kids to bed, this is the time. I'll meet you there.
Well, what I'd like for you to do, don't shoot video, just audio. I want to hear you have sex.
My wife would kill me. But my free play won though.
I'm gonna have to fantasize then.
Yeah, my free play won tonight. It was the Cubs and Nationals over 8.5. They scored 12 runs.
Oh, nice.
I had been doing pretty good. I mean, I had like a couple bad days, but man, last year was 6-1. Today is looking good. You had the White Sox and Astros under 7.5. That one they just finished at 7 runs. You had Justin Verlander and Dylan Cease, two of the best pitchers in the American League going. That was an easy pick too for over and under. But still doing the free play. If you guys, that's where you can find me on Twitter. You want to get a free play and check me out on Twitter.
At John Santucci VIP, and if you don't know how to spell Santucci, it is Santucci. So at John Santucci VIP. Retro Santucci's
Retro's on fire tonight, man. He's had some good ones tonight, man.
We gotta bring Retro on the show. That would be tons of fun. So Retro, let me know when you're scheduled live.
We'll do some ayahuasca.
Yeah, we got to have a show where we have just a bunch of guys on here, true barroom atmosphere. So we could do that like for an hour segment of the show. So let's plan on doing that real fucking soon. Lots of great stuff happening here at the Barroom tomorrow. What do we got going on tomorrow? It's Bar Down Hockey. Those guys aren't talking hockey anymore. There's no hockey. They're just talking great sports stories and lots of funny stuff. That's at 2 p.m. Central. And then it is the Mac and Reed Show. They've got a lot of thoughts on the Chicago Bears, and that's going to be an interesting 1-hour show. At 9 p.m., the science fiction guys are going to talk about some of the latest stuff from Marvel. So if you're a Marvel fan or just a science fiction fan, tune in for them. If you have not seen the Bear Debate Show that we taped yesterday, I really highly recommend that. I'm really proud of where that show is going. And we've got some great guests lined up for future The Bear Debate shows. So That's going to be outstanding. And one of the things that I would love to do, if I have the time, I would love to do more of the Bear debates. Right now, they're kind of just scheduled for one a week. But I would love to do maybe more than one a week because they're just fun. Bringing people, Batucci, you could debate.
That was Ill Will was the last one. And
Ill Will.
I love that dude. We are mutual follow on Twitter. I interact with him. I've interacted with him quite a bit in the past. Very knowledgeable.
Yes, I love his. If you're not following Ill Will on social media, you really should, because he's got great takes on stuff, and he does a lot of tape study and stuff. So he's got some credible opinions on stuff. Really good. So he was in the first episode, and this last one that we did, and he faced Aaron Curran from the Barflight Tailgate Show in episode 1, and then the one that we did yesterday was Swift from Swift Sports Network,
right? And
our guy, Mr. Shorty from Bear Country podcast. So all two of those 1 hour shows, all of those shows have good shelf life. So you can watch them later this week or next week, and the information is still pretty much pertinent. And I put a lot of time into the production values on that. So I really am proud of where that show is going to. So hopefully, if I can find more time, I'd like to do more of those and invite some of the people in the chat and other people to be a part of that and just debate and have some fun. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on what else did I want to share about what we're doing here on the network. Well, we got some more surprises coming, and the best way to keep on top of everything is to subscribe to our Barroom Network YouTube channel and to follow me on Twitter at Barroom Network. Retro is managing our Facebook page. He's putting up all sorts of cool stuff and exclusive stuff that you won't find on our Twitter page or on YouTube, just stuff that's for our Facebook audience, and that's growing. He's doing a fabulous job. So really proud of Johnny Santucci, Dan Aguirre, all of the guys from the Barroom Network doing just a fantastic job. We got to get off the air because that blue pill.
Blue Chew? Wasn't Lauren Cox do the Blue Chew commercial or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I listened to Lockdown Bears the other day. There was a Blue Chew commercial, and I was very disappointed. So maybe they lost their heart on.
It's either Blue Chew or Manscaped, right?
Yeah, that's right. Those are the big podcast promoters now.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Make sure that you let people know about what the Dan and Aldo show is all about. It is a stupid, silly show. We have lots of laughs, though, and so hopefully you've enjoyed it, and we'll share the news with others. We're here every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central. Thanks, Retro. Thanks, Dan Aguirre. Thanks, Dan Aguirre. Dan Aguirre. Yeah, I got that right. Thanks, John Santucci. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Dan and Aldo Bare Their Souls. Make sure you subscribe to the Barroom Network and you give us a rating on iTunes. Until next week, my name is Nomfe. Bear down.